guys, this is Paige Pierce. I'm here for Physics of Flight, and today I'm going to talk to you about maximum distance. Now, what I'm doing when I'm throwing max distance is I'm throwing a really overstable long-range disc that's fast, so my Ballista Pros, on a nice angle like this. I'm putting the disc really high in the air, but to make up for that height, I have to make sure I turn my wrist and I put a lot of snap on it. The reason I'm doing so is so I get the full flight. You guys hear a lot of people saying full flight or S-shot or stuff like this. This is how the disc flies the furthest, is when you throw something overstable on a super turned angle and it pans as long as it can, but it still has enough time to get its full flight back out to the left. So if you don't get it high enough, after you get that initial turn, it's gonna hit the ground. This is why you have to get it high enough so it has time to correct itself in the air and finish out to the left. For me, I'm aiming really far at the left side of the fairway on that angle, so I have the entire middle and right side of the fairway to make the disc stretch before it comes back to the left. So one thing that's really important when you're throwing for max distance is the wind. What is it doing? You need to know this because it's gonna change the angle or the disc choice or where you're aiming. Some of them are going to help you. Some of them are gonna make it harder. Neither of these mean that you should or shouldn't do it. It's just something you have to think and adapt to. If it's a tailwind, it's going to make the disc fly further. It's gonna push it. So absolutely, let's go for max distance. If it's wide open and there's a tailwind, absolutely I will. If there's a headwind, it's gonna try to push the disc backwards and to flip it. So when this happens, it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I can't go for max distance, but it does mean I have to adjust for that. So I can't put it quite as high. So I'm gonna throw more of a flatter, lower release, but I'm still gonna have that angle. It's just not gonna be as exaggerated. If it's ever pushing from right to left, I'm gonna have to put a little bit more of an angle on it than I think. And if it's pushing from left to right, I'm not gonna be able to put as much angle as I think, or else I'm gonna get an accidental roller. So make sure you test the wind before you throw this shot, but I would say the most effective way to throw max distance is from a slight tailwind or no wind at all. So when you're looking for max distance, make sure to account for all these things, and thank you guys for watching.
Whoa, got a big order going out today, huh?
I sure do.
Nice. Hey, Danny, what you working on?
Just a new website. It's looking pretty good.
Nice.
I finally got the baby to sleep.
Nice. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answerman. Damon asks about discs. I am recently
Yep. How do you spell that?
I was recently practicing putting and included my 2 West Side harps into the stack to get more repetitions in. I really enjoyed putting with these discs over my standard putters, which are P2s.
Great.
Because they felt better in my hand. My question is there anything wrong with putting with a Speed 4 disc? Or could you suggest a more traditional putting putter that feels similar and maybe less overstable?
Suspect. As far as feel goes, and it's a little less overstable.
Right.
It's not really...
Is the harp a putt-in approach?
Yeah.
It is. It says Speed 4, but let's get real for a second. The rim on a harp is very similar to all the 3 speed widths.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think... Just because it says Speed 4 on there doesn't mean you couldn't.
No, we used
or
the
shouldn't putt
speedometer
with
on it, and it said 4, so...
Oh, man. Okay, well, yeah, that's why we put that on there. I think if a disc works for you, use that disc.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It
Does the
doesn't
harp
matter
comes
if
in
it.
base plastic, right?
Oh yeah,
It comes
in
in
a lot of
majority
base
of the
plastics.
plastics.
Okay.
But if you're looking for something that has a similar feel but not as overstable, gosh, you're not going to find much that's kind of like pretty squared on the edge like a harp that is more understable. The only thing I could think is like, a crown is less overstable than a harp.
I was thinking a pure too would be.
Yeah, I mean it's
a little more round. That's why I said suspect, because it is more of a square edge. It may be more difficult finding a suspect in base plastic, but
yep.
just go with the harp. It feels good in the hand.
Try it
If
out.
it's working well and you're jamming, who cares?
Who cares?
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me how close I am to the nearest gas station?
Yeah, it's about a par 4 down Lincoln Street.
Pardon me, what?
Well, most people say it's a par 5, but I've played a lot of disc golf.
Never mind. Thanks.
Oakley has absolutely put the perfect angle on this. Just needs a skip. Just needs an ace. Oh my goodness, almost runs it in the basket. You'll love to see it. Dude, I'm prop 2 in the back with Eric Oakley here. I'll guide this real quick while we're waiting for Paige to get back. So
He
we
looks
got
kind of like me, so this is actually mine in the back.
yeah. So hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Eric Oakley. I throw hard. I got a good forehand. So check it out, okay? So we got a couple EMAC truths here, good for like throwing forehands and throwing really hard. Then we got Felon. This one's cool. Then we got a Raider. I really like the Raider. I wish it was in Lucid, and I'll get it sometime. So that's just me, Eric Oakley. And then we got some Enforcers. But yeah, so we got a Justice here. Then some more Felons, and then in the sides we got some Felons, and yeah. So this has been me, Eric Oakley. Thank you for joining me for this TED Talk. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I think if we leave yeah, I'm gonna have to call you back.
Why isn't anybody working?
We're on a 30-minute weather delay. Lots of lightning.
Of course.
Looks like more lightning. Another 30 minutes.
My name is Brian Earhart. We are at the 2019 Memorial Championships in Scottsdale, Arizona, and let me show you some of the stuff I'll be throwing this week. For putting putters, I absolutely love the Jawbreaker Bagger GT. This is the best putter I've ever touched. It's completely changed the way I approach putting. As you can see, there's kind of a groove around the outside of it where the thumb fits. I never have to think about where my thumb's going. The stability is perfectly stable to overstable. I actually drive with one as well. I have this sweet ESP Swirl MJ Banger GT, probably the best driving putter I've also ever touched. For approach putters, I love the Zone. It's probably my favorite disc in the Discraft lineup. I throw it for pretty much all of my sidearm approaches. The best part about it is you can throw it hard, it's overstable, but you can get it to land really soft. I love the Z Flex Zone. The fact that the plastic is gummy, if you do hit a tree, it doesn't go far. You can also get it to land super soft. When the wind picks up, I'm going to be throwing a Crystal Zone, a new addition to my bag actually. Very flat, almost concave top, and it's super overstable. So I can throw it hard Anheuser forehand, and it'll flatten out and slow fade at the end. So probably, again, the best forehand mid-range disc or forehand approach disc I've ever touched. Moving into my mid-ranges. Since the courses are so long this week, I'm not going to be throwing too many mid-ranges off the tee, but I do have 3 that I'll be throwing for approaches. First one's going to be an ESP Comet. Perfect, glidey, stable to understable mid-range. I'm going to be throwing it whenever I need a long turnover, if I have a tailwind, or if I need some sort of niche forehand shot. Next one that I'm going to be throwing quite a bit this week is a ESP Swirl Buzz. This is just perfect neutral stability for a backhand or a forehand, really. I can hit this thing really hard and flat, and then I'll get a subtle fade at the end. If I want to put some Anheuser on it, it'll hold it and subtle fade to flat. Just a perfect neutral stability mid-range. And then when the wind picks up, I will be throwing a Z Buzz OS. This specific Buzz OS is super flat and stiff, super good in the wind. I can throw this hard forehand and pretty much get the same flight that I'll get out of a zone, but just maybe an extra 20, 30 feet. So really perfect overstable mid-range here. Moving into my fairway drivers. First one I want to show you is a disc they don't make anymore, but it's probably my favorite fairway driver that they have ever made, is the ESP XL. I can throw this very similar to how I throw my Comets, and I can get a pretty frozen rope, subtle hyzer flip flight for about 400 to 450 feet. I throw this a lot in the woods, but again, if I have a tailwind out here and I need something to go straight, I'll be throwing that. For rollers, I like throwing the Z Heat. This is a stable to understable driver. I like the domey ones that kind of have a pop top to them. Mainly throwing these for rollers, maybe not on these courses with all the water. But in the woods, I throw these a lot. I throw a lot of little flip-up sidearms with these. Awesome utility disc to have. And then a new addition to my bag is the Test Flight Z Raptor. I like to call this a overstable disc that likes to land soft. So for a backhand, I love throwing it hard and flat into the wind. I can get a dead straight flight, high speed, and it still has that hard cut at the end. If you put a little bit of Anheuser on it, you can actually get it to land very softly like a mid-range or even a straight fairway driver. Now on to my Vultures. This is probably my favorite disc that they've ever made. Fantastic fairway driver, very neutral stability. This one that I'm holding right here is the oldest one in my bag. I've been throwing these since they came out, the Austin Turner ESP Vultures. They fly almost as far as a distance driver, but with a ton more control and less side-to-side movement when you throw it hard. So this is my flippiest one. Medium stability is going to be my Big Z Vulture. This one used to be pretty overstable when I first started throwing it, but now I can get it to kind of ride flat and fade subtly at the end. And then a new addition is this First Run Z Vulture. So this one is pretty stiff and has a little bit of a dome to it. And I've heard that these are nice and overstable when you throw them hard. So excited to get this one out there. Moving into my faster drivers. This is a Z Machete. I use this mainly for just hard sidearm approaches, spike hyzers, flex sidearms. Super overstable, very little glide. Awesome utility disc to have in the bag, especially if you are a sidearm player. Doesn't go as long as a distance driver on a sidearm, but probably the most controllable fade that I've ever had with a driver like that. Next is a Punisher. So this is another new addition to my bag. The thing that I found with this that I really like is the fact that you can get almost more distance than a standard distance driver with this, but it flips slowly like a fairway driver. So it has kind of a unique purpose. I throw this mainly in the woods on the East Coast, but if there is some sort of shot where I need a laser beam 400-foot shot with a little fade, I'll probably throw the Punisher. And now my forces. So I got 2 forces in the bag this week. This is going to be an ESP swirl force. This one's flatter, max weight. I'm probably throwing this one in hole 1 at Fountain Hills. You can hit it really hard and flat, and then about 400 feet it starts doing a nice consistent fade at the end. Next one here is a Pop Top Z-Force. This is actually from Big Germ's garage, so thank you, Big Germ, for this one. This one bombs. If you put a little anhyzer in this one, I can get some of the longest flights of anything I've ever thrown. Not going to be throwing this one too much out there because I don't need that much distance, but maybe at Vista I might break this one out. A couple more discs for you. I have a Paul Macbeth Kong in my bag. This has been a huge surprise for me. I threw this a lot at the Las Vegas Challenge last week. This one has a nice tiny slow flip high speed. I'm getting some of the longest shots I've ever thrown out of this disc, and I can throw it baby hyzer flip. It pops up to flat and then just pushes forward for a really long way. So I'm really liking this, and I'm excited to work with this more. And the last one in my bag is a Nuke OS. So whenever the wind picks up, I reach for this. I can throw this sidearm, backhand. You can get a super quick flight out of it. You can get it to push out there fast, and then it has a huge crash at the end. So anything where I need to throw over the water, some sort of consistent sidearm with a fade at the end, this has been a workhorse for me as well. And that would be the fastest and most overstable disc I've probably ever thrown. So those are all the discs in my bag that I throw this week. And if you have any questions about those discs, feel free to head over to discraft.com.
This is the first run IPA.
Come visit us in Bend. You'll get fresh beer. You'll get some hospitality, and I guarantee you'll either see Val, Justin, or I.
Fresh as you can get it, right here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final round at the 2019 Portland Open. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside 3-time world champion Nate Doss and head brewmaster at Bevel Beer. How you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing great, T. And, you know, I'm excited right now because this is going to be a fantastic afternoon of disc golf. Assuming Mother Nature plays a little bit, fair game with us and doesn't hit us with too much rain or thunderstorms, I think today's going to be a wonderful day to watch some disc golf.
There has been the threat of rain all day long. We're going to see if that pushes off. I feel like it's an indirect quote that I heard from James Conrad as I was hanging out around the practice area earlier today. If I could summarize, I think it went something along the lines of, Yeah, because playing in the rain sucks, I think is what he said. And I can understand that sentiment. We had a wet weekend last weekend at the Masters Cup. We've seen a few wet days out here. Let's hope that things stay clear for us. But speaking of that lead card, I think we're ready for the action with the RTD. Jeff Spring, he's going to be calling off all of the top 4 players. I think we're going to be ready to go here at Blue Lake Regional Park.
Vying for their own positioning, so please be aware of the adjacent holes as well. You guys excited to watch some great disc golf action? I'm going to turn it over to our assistant to the TD, Zoe Ann Dyke. Please give her a big round of applause as she introduces the players.
Final round of the Portland Open, presented by Bevel Craft Brewing and the Pro Tour. First up on the tee box, we have James Conrad.
Again, welcome everyone. Here's James Conrad with the tee shot on hole number 1. Nate, I love the angle on this roller. It looks like it's going to stand up just a bit early, but there he is flashing past Circle 1's flags, and thank you, Grip 6.
Yeah, Grip 6 helping out big time. Hole 1, T-Dog is 455 feet. It's a par 3, and really roller is the best option here. We saw Simon yesterday give it perfect angle. Want to kind of hit middle fairway with a lot of cut, so you can end up even or to the left of the basket.
And this one's slightly, I was going to say it looks like it was slightly fading to the right. However, it does get hung up by the tree.
We have the new course record holder, Kevin Jones.
And of course, the main story from yesterday's MPO round, Kevin Jones with that 15 under. Let's see how he can start off today.
Boy, hitting that big tree, and slowing him down. He had a lot of stability on that roller. It would have actually finished up towards the basket, but here's the crowd favorite, I would say.
Nate.
Yeah, when you spend some time in Oregon and you play as well as you do and you're as lovable as this guy, like you said, hometown favorite here.
Yeah, Oregon native, comes from Corvallis, an hour and 40 minutes south of the city of Portland. Love this angle if it flips.
Nate told me he's going to be rolling a sidewinder here. We're going to see if this stands up for him. Not quite, but he does keep it in the short grass. And we'll see you down the fairway.
All of our competitors, and have a happy.
Let Dynamic Discs help distinguish the winners at your next event. We've got many options, from a mini disc to a full-size disc, and we can do custom wrap baskets from the micro recruit all the way up to a veteran. We can help design your trophies, and we have discounted prices on larger orders. Our designs feature sharp graphics and vibrant colors. We have what it takes to set your event's winners apart, from their bags to their backyards. Learn all the ways we can help at dynamicdiscs.com.
Here's Simon Lizotte from just inside maybe 100 feet. Body English says he wanted it. He thought he had it there for a moment.
Yeah, if we remember back to yesterday, that big 80-foot look that Simon had, barely missing. We saw him after the round, Terry, and he was a little dejected in how he finished, but I still told him, I think, Simon, this one's yours if you want it. I think this course plays very, very well into his game, but we'll see. Obviously, this guy's game is great as well. You know, as we come on the air, Terry, we got to talk about all the scores that are going to start to stack up. And if you're not following on UDisc Live right now, you absolutely should be, because Drew Gibson's at 17 down. James Proctor's 4 down through 7 at 17 under as well. Dion Arland is playing incredibly well. Alex Russell is at 17 under. These are all names that we expect towards the end of the day will start to fall away. But really cool to see all these names starting to stack up.
Sexton's birdie attempt is just left. And James Conrad is getting into position here.
Just statistically, 2 strokes behind the lead right now includes Michael Johansson, Ricky Wysocki, Seppo Payo, Eagle McMahon, Nate Sexton, Kevin Jones, Alex Russell, Dion Arland, James Proctor, and Drew Gibson. That is 10 players just 2 strokes behind the lead right now.
I think we're going to have a battle here today, Nate. Here's James Conrad. Can he strike first?
A hair right for him. Incredible crowd today too. We left the course just 40 minutes ago to come to the studio, and there was people just hanging around, just excited for today. It's one of those days. This is a big city, Portland, and Disclandia as we called it. But yeah, huge crowds today, and it's got to be exciting for the players as well.
So our crowd getting into position as well, as they're going to start moving over toward the tee of 2 after these tap outs. And so no one able to capitalize on hole number 1. The lead card will remain intact as it was when we started, but they got a very brief walk. We're going to walk over to hole number 2 at 425 feet. Yep. Who's going to be in attack mode here, Nate?
Yeah, here we are, T-Dog. Hole number 2 is a par 3, 425. Big left to right, as these 2 trees on the right side are really going to affect what shots the players can throw. A big sidearm is the ideal shot here. And I think we'll see that from a few of our players, but also a slow-moving turnover will work as well. But those 2 trees you really have to avoid. The branches are so thick, so low, you really got to go around them. But we can fully expect to see a sidearm from Nate Sexton, probably from Simon as well. I would expect to see backhands from Conrad and from Kay Jones. Really a touchy hole, though, because when you go to throw that turnover, if you just don't put enough of a pop on it, it can easily flex out and go into that tall grass, which is out of bounds.
And I would say he had the right amount of turn on it, but it looks like it turned just a little bit too early. That's going to be a long putt for James Conrad.
Yeah, when you have a hole like this and you have to throw that turnover at 425, it's so hard to get that late turn. Simon's left it just inside. He has made the Mando tree and kept it inbounds, so really no harm, no foul. Oh, but we see K Jones lining up the sidearm. Don't see a whole lot of this from K, but from KJ USA, I guess.
Really got to trust that forehand, and that's got enough stability. It looks like it had a good flip up to it, and then he's going to bring himself just inside the circle, looking at less than 10 meters for the birdie. And I believe this is a destroyer here by Nate Sexton. I checked in with him just before the round today and got a little insights and also a little family update. He's got a lot of good things going on we'll talk about throughout the round.
Yeah, Nate mentioned to me this morning that yesterday was the best round he's ever played in such a long career. It's funny to hear him say that. I mean, we've all had those bad rounds that weren't great, but yeah.
We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back. And Nate, you spoke of that gallery a moment ago. I'd like to just go ahead and squash any rumors that may be out there that you're thinking from my last comment. Nate Sexton's family is not expanding. We did not talk about that. He was instead in jubilation of his wife officially becoming a doctor just a few weeks ago and graduating, and them making a purchase of a home in Olympia, Washington. Here's James Conrad.
Yeah, both you and I have known Nate for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've known him since we were basically kids, and how cool it is to see him and Bree and the whole family, Cora, be able to settle down now. He's so confident and comfortable with who he is and being the U.S. champion from a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, he just said, man, yesterday was one of those days I missed the 3 easiest holes, bogeyed hole 6, and bogeyed hole 18. How could I do that? But either way, he's just right there in the hunt, and we'll see if he can make a little bit of a charge today. Officially, both James Proctor and Dion Arlen are tied for the lead as they've moved to 18 under par.
Oh, and Kevin Jones with the jumper from just a few inches outside of the circle.
We talked about this back in Jonesboro for K Jones. He prefers to be just an inch outside the circle, as that jump putt is so deadly.
I feel like you could say the same on the FPO side with Sarah Holcomb. She's just really in a comfort zone at 34 feet. And Nate left side and in. Yeah, just barely. I almost called it left side corner pocket, but he had a little more center to it than that.
Dion Arlen, another Corvallis boy from Oregon, at 7 birdies in the row. He's birdied from 3 to 9, or was it 9 or 10? But either way, 7 birdies in a row for Dion. And we're back here on hole 3 now, 550-foot par 4. And so it begins. The 2-part holes here at Blue Lake Disc Golf Course. And really the players are going to just be controlling a hyzer down into the landing area, which is just right in this area. To the left of this just a little bit, but it's very tight. Only 45 feet wide here. Then it comes down through this bushy gap down to, again, another tight green that basically the edge of the circle is OB. Super tough hole, but a hole that is very, very gettable if the players can land in the right position.
And Kevin with that tremendous power, able to bite off a little bit more than most of our competitors because he's able to push it so much more up that fairway. We've had 39% of the field today take birdies here. That's 40 of our players prior to this lead card coming through.
Yeah, the one thing about Kevin is he pushed it just a little bit too far to the right, so he's going to be left with a tough angle. You really have to get around the big bushy tree right there and tuck as far left as you can without going OB. So no easy task whatsoever, especially since it's completely blind.
James Conrad trying to find the opening, and it looks like after a tree hit or two, it comes down in the fairway. Now here's Simon Lizotte. We'll see just how much he's looking to go here, and has a little bit more angle on that. That's going to be sharper to the turn. Seems to be effective. We'll see you in the middle. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Terry Miller along with Nate Dawson. Nate, we've been watching on UDisc Live. Of course, we invite you guys to do the same. Just the amount of scores that are just keep piling in. Just a sea of blue is really what it is. People are out here attacking this course again. KJ did it, as so many other players did yesterday. And right now, it's kind of interesting to see that the players that are out on the course and have had a few more opportunities are pushing way up on this leaderboard. I think just a moment ago you said James Proctor is now technically tied for the lead at that 19 under.
James Proctor is officially
our outright leader.
The outright leader at 19 under par. He's 6 down. He's played 9 holes, so he's had 3 pars. One of the things is James Conrad and Simon have both parred the first 2 holes, so they haven't gained any strokes on the field. There might be something to be said, and we see Sexton with a tough little shot. Got to miss the cameraman. And it looks like he stayed just in bounds, but that's my point on this one, Terry. If the drives are just a little bit too far to the right, it's a tougher angle into this very tight green.
Yeah, it can be, unless you're one of the most proficient forehand throwers in the game. So Nate having that advantage. If James Conrad was in that exact same position with that angle, it would have been a much tougher shot to pull off, of course, because he's not nearly as comfortable with a forehand shot. I think we would have seen a backhand.
Yep, and now Wysocki is officially in second as well.
So here's Conrad. I believe that's one of his
OB.
Oh,
He's OB.
AVRs, yeah. And Conrad is out of bounds here off of his approach shot. Simon Lizotte in really good position right now for a standstill approach. Really, right where you want to be.
So confident. What a beautiful shot there by Simon. I'll tell you, as a player, as a person who's been in these types of fields and these positions so many times, the amount of pressure on a day like today where just one stroke can literally drop you 5 to 10 places. We have massive ties out here as well. So a miss like that for James Conrad in the early goings could easily just spell the end of his day.
Yeah, there are so many people just so hungry to come up and take this title and to come out here and score well. And
it's got to sit.
Oh, it looks like it hits off some of the bush in the long grass OB, but then stays inbounds. A little bit of a break possibly by Kevin Jones. I think we're going to head over. And actually, we got a little extra bonus coverage. This is Drew Gibson teeing on hole number 6.
Asking for it to slow down. It's going to go left. That was Drew Gibson. Drew is 3 under par. He's at 18, just 1 stroke behind the lead.
And here is Seppo. And back with James, who went out of bounds on his second shot. So this is James for a 4.
Oh, he's got a good line. Oh, just to the right. Conrad with that floaty running putt. Look at the crowd. Look at that crowd. It's just tucked in there. It's traffic.
And if you are not part of that crowd, we hope, of course, that you're tuned in. You're watching on one of the many platforms available to you. But we'd love for you to go out and share the link. We've got a great crowd watching online. Of course, if you shared it with one person that also joined us, we could double those numbers. I think that's how the math works, Nate. We could double those numbers, and I guarantee you we are going to have a shootout here today. The action, and we mentioned it at the top of the show, it may not just come from our lead card. There are so many people in striking distance. We're going to keep an eye on it and bring you the action from possibly the second or third card whenever we catch up with them. And Sexton off the front of the cage. You know, he was talking, like you said, about his round yesterday. And he had said to me he had missed, I believe he said he missed 4 putts inside the circle. So that kind of goes along with what you were saying about, oh, he had one of the best, worst rounds of his life. And hopefully he's going to be able to clean some of that up today.
Yeah, plus he had horrible drives on hole 6 and 18. But I'll tell you, every single missed putt right now means so much more because there are so many players involved in this possible championship. Okay, Jones leaving it short. But this is what I'm talking about with that pressure, just as it starts to ratchet up. I'll tell you right now, Michael Johansson is at 19 under and tied for the lead.
Wow.
It's absolutely incredible. This is so much fun. I can't tell you.
And Simon with the easy tap in. He's going to walk away with the birdie. Nate. Oh, that's a new trick. That's a Firebird putt. I like it. All right, hole number 4.
Yeah, hole number 4, 295 straight away, par 3. Really no danger here. There is some OB tucked inside these woods, but really it's a straightaway distance control, either mid-range or for a player like Simon, he could potentially even throw a putter on this hole at just 295 feet. But really, it's all about just controlling whatever you feel comfortable with straight. You want to throw it straight, finish straight, and avoid going into either the woods on the right or the left of the basket. But a very gettable birdie for each and every competitor in the entire field.
Yeah, and speaking to exactly that, I'll give you some of the numbers to back that up, Nate. This is averaging 2.53. So it's coming in well under par. It's still the 15th most difficult hole, which means it's, arguably the third or fourth easiest hole on the course. 57% of the field have birdied it today. And that's an increase from what we saw yesterday. So these guys should have this hole relatively dialed in.
The only thing that makes it just a little bit tricky is the fact that there is
coming in.
Here we go.
Oh.
And he's now stayed in bounds. You can see those OB sticks there. The OB comes in on the left a little bit tighter than it does on the right. And so that's where distance control is so key here. And I think you said it yesterday. Probably smarter to be a little shorter than long.
Yeah, I like that play. If you're going to misfire or possibly not have a perfect shot, you want to be a little bit short just to stay away from the OB. And Kevin Jones is going to be probably OB, although okay, so we do not know. He put up the X, which means it's very close and too close for the spotter to call. So he's going to leave the decision up to the group and not make any indication whatsoever. That is a pro spotter move there. I like it.
Oh, that is so short.
Interesting to see Nate throw a sidearm here. I think it's so much more. When he kind of hit and bounced out, but it's so much more difficult to throw a straight sidearm than it is a straight backhand. So interesting play, and maybe one of the reasons why he didn't birdie it yesterday as well.
I think he's just very comfortable with that sidearm, and unfortunately, it does not give him a very good result. And James Conrad right up the middle, right at the basket. Wow.
Almost hits it and goes out of bounds. Quick break. We'll see you on the green.
Are you obsessed with disc golf? If so, this is for you. DiscGolfBoxes.com. Premium hand-picked products shipped to your door every month. It's easy. 1. Pick your box size, the par, birdie, or ace. 2. Choose a brand of disc you would like. 3. Fill out the survey so we know exactly what you like. Go now to DiscGolfBoxes.com and sign up today. Use coupon code DGPT to save 10% on your first box. Go to DiscGolfBoxes.com to get your monthly box of disc golf awesomeness.
And Nate Sexton looks like he's got a decent angle here for being pinched up against this right side rough. He does have a good look at the basket as he's stretched out to his left. Solid putt by Sexton.
Yeah, good putt to come back from that missed short putt on the last hole. That's going to give him a little bit of a good feel. We don't know if K. Jones was officially OB. Looks though as if he is. It's tough to tell. Scoring update, Eagle McMahon is now tied for the lead at 19 under par.
Yeah, solid putt by Kevin. And yeah, by the way he reached in there, it looked like he was definitely out of bounds. Nate, you're talking about all these scores coming in. If I wait here long enough, I think I'm going to be tied for the lead.
Yeah,
I mean, seriously,
no, yeah,
who
right.
is it, right?
I mean, this is super uncanny, though. I mean,
It
we
is.
don't see this in disc golf that much. We see it in professional golf, traditional golf, a little bit. But the question now is, who's the one that takes out and just gets 1 or 2 stroke lead here as we get through the early parts of this round? Ooh, and Simon. You know, the one thing you got to remember is this front 9 is much easier than the back 9. And so once we start to see some of these guys that are sneaking up, they're on 9, 10, and 11 right now. Let's see how they played 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's a great point, and I got some insight from Michael Joe. We'll talk about that very topic as we move over. Let's take a look at hole 5 first, Nate.
Yeah, hole 5, another 2-part par 4, 575 feet. You want to just throw your drive out into this, I would call it a fairly large landing area. If you land in this area, you're completely blind to the basket because of this well complex. As we come around the corner, you're going to see the second half of the hole. Just a beautiful hole, so much greenery. There's a couple of ways to come into this green. If you're short, you can take a big hyzer out and over OB. If you're long enough, you can play directly at the basket. Either way, a very gettable birdie for each and every one of our players.
Well, and again, I'll back that up with a little bit of statistics and some data that we find over on UDisc. This is coming in as the 3rd easiest hole on the course today, 3.49. So more than a half stroke under par for this hole, with 62% of our field birdieing this. So you're certainly losing a stroke to a good majority of the players out there if you are not taking advantage of this somewhat short par 4 that we have here on hole number 5.
Yeah, just 575 to me, and really it's all about the drive, distance control, putting yourself in a position that you've played from before, you know, sort of with the comfort level of being like, oh, I know that shot. I know how to throw that shot.
Yeah, and I think what's really important on this drive is if you can get far enough where you can even see the basket. And I know that's just a visual thing, and players can throw 275 or 300 or whatever the distance is with their eyes closed, but still seeing that basket gives you such an advantage, and you need to get either near or past the hump out there that's in the middle of the fairway in order to do that. But then you bring that OB into play. Yeah. So it's a real fine line there as to how far out do you want to push it. But yeah, Simon Lizotte has the honors, and we're here on hole number 5.
So yeah, Simon is the official leader now at 20 under par. I called him out yesterday as what I felt like the top dog in this event. He just looks so confident, and that's a beautiful shot, perfect position.
Right there on that hillside or that hump, as I was discussing, if you're standing on that and you can possibly see that pin, I think it just gives you a little bit more comfort. And here's Nate Sexton. We see him with 86% fairways hit this weekend.
Yeah, Nate's left himself just a little bit short, so it'll be interesting the way he decides to attack it. He has the hyzer option as he's just a little bit short.
I want to say that is a possibly a metal flake T-bird that I think we see from James Conrad. Interesting to see him throw that, as that was the exact same disc that he throws on the tee of hole 2.
Yeah, kind of that long, fading left to right shot. You can see 3 of our 4 competitors throwing sidearm, so it is a sidearm, I guess.
Kevin's trying to push it up the fairway with a little backwind. We'll see you from the middle.
And that quick shot we saw is the view. If you're not far enough up the fairway, you have literally no view of the basket. James is a little bit more forward on the fairway, and he's going to have actual visual of the basket. Throwing just a little baby turnover here with his putter. Yeah, a little straight putter fade. Beautiful shot by James. And this is the view of Kevin Jones. Just to the right there, you can notice that gap between the tree. In the first round, we saw a bunch of our players take that gap. It's really not a far shot. The players right now are only about 190 feet away from the basket. So it's just a little spike hyzer. You can see Kevin running around and trying to get, pick the distance and visualize how much speed he needs to put on this. Oh, and he's left it a little bit too far to the left. But it's now safely on the ground and inbounds. He's watching that one with a very watchful eye. Now we see Nate doing the same. A lot of, hey, where do I need to land this? Where do I need to shoot it? Looks as if Nate's going to actually take the sidearm route here. Must have just enough of an angle around that big corner cedar tree.
And short, putting him inside the circle. Now Simon Lizotte just in great position here.
Just needs to hold. Such a slow flying shot. It doesn't make big drastic movements, and he's landed inbounds. Simon at 20 under par is the leader. What did you call out yesterday? 27, 28 under par?
If that makes me right today, I'll go with it. No, I don't believe that I actually spoke of an actual number.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe I was talking a little bit after the round with maybe the tournament director, Jeff Spring, or somebody, and they were guessing 28 would be the winning score. Well, that'll be interesting to see how that
assuming the weather holds off, I think push. We've seen some great scores come in, and some, of course, great rounds come in. Kevin Jones shooting that course record-setting 15 under yesterday.
Yeah, getting to 30 would put Simon having to get 10 more birdies from this point forward, and that's the reason we're so excited about this. Is we see Nate Sexton putting for birdie with his patented disc flip before he putts. And there's Nate canning that. The reason we're talking about all these scores is because we are seeing names jump in. But eventually,
it just a little bit in setting the bar, but with so much to play or two, they have opportunity can then get past them if they keep it.
And that was Simon there canning the putt. I like the look of Simon right now. If he can continue to just find that confidence, I have no doubts that he should be able to hold on and potentially win this event. Of course, you never know.
Kevin Jones also confident putt.
Yeah, the only way I see this working for somebody playing early, say you're a James Proctor who is currently tied or now tied for second as Simon did birdie there. If he's somehow able to finish like Kevin yesterday with a bunch of birdies on the back nine, that's the only real way. But here we are on hole 6, 270 feet up the hill, par 3. One of the easiest holes on the course. Although these times we ended up having over this out of bounds area and then coming into this slightly sloping up green area with, of course, the elevated basket. But yeah, I just noticed the stats there. The second easiest hole in the course.
Well, and not only is it the second easiest, but 81% of our field have birdied this. 83 players that constitutes. And Sexton had said he believes that yesterday he was literally the only MPO player to take the 4 here. And so to know that he for'd arguably the easiest or second easiest hole on the course, and he still finds himself on the leader card, tells you just how good the rest of his game and the rest of his round and tournament have been. And of course, not one hole doesn't necessarily dictate, a win or a loss at this tournament, but it does say something when you bogey the easiest hole out here. And this is my favorite approach. This is the slightly higher hyzer approach that Simon has just taken, clearly effective as he's just 5 feet away. We see sometimes some lower, kind of more beeline approaches to this basket, but I'm a big fan of that hyzer approach that comes in and has more of a spike angle versus something that's coming in lower and could possibly skip past.
And there's Nate hitting a tree, staying a little bit to the left side. So he's going to have it just outside the edge circle putt from there. And there's that straight look that you were talking about, Terry. Just it is more difficult on an uphill shot to control the distance on a straight throw versus what Simon did, who, if he just puts the right angle and the right line on it, it should end up in the same area every time. That might have sounded like it was just a duh comment, but it's sort of what I'm just talking about, picking that angle, and if you give it the right amount of speed, it's going to be in the same place. Quick break, we'll be right back.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
Back to the green here of hole number 6, Terry Miller along with Nate Doss. Of course, the event 2019 Portland Open brought to you in part by Bevel and Discraft with support for our live coverage from Dynamic Disc. Here's Nate Sexton from Circle 2. Well, that's a way to make up for the bogey yesterday, isn't it? Here's a Zuka replay.
Replay. There it is. Watch him just sneak it just barely enough with the little fist pump. Nate feeling the vibes from the crowd. Yeah, that's a good two-stroke swing. We wouldn't expect a two-stroke swing on that one by
No,
Nate,
you wouldn't.
but
Unless you're talking about a par maybe to an ace.
Yeah, right.
Which is possible
exactly.
here. But yeah, the bogey to birdie isn't what you would expect.
Terry, could you have imagined back on Saturday in our first round that Eagle and Ricky would be tied for second right now? just the way that they played.
No, what
a change over the last 48 hours it's been now. And James just not giving it enough. You could see his reaction. But yeah, with how frustrated Eagle and Ricky looked. But look at them. They're tied for second at 20 under with Nate Sexton as well.
A moment ago, you saw Kevin just pause for a moment. There might have been a distraction off in the distance. And without hesitation, easy drop in there for Simon Lizotte. So James Conrad left out of the party. We're going to take a brief walk, move over to hole number 7, 825 feet.
Yep, and here we are, hole 7, par 4, 825 feet. A converted par 5 from the World Championships back in 2014. The hole plays down through these low branches out into this big landing zone. But it's so hard to get all the way in here to penetrate far enough to have a good enough angle and enough airspace to get down to the green in 2. Probably to par plays is one of the, maybe 8th or 7th most difficult because there is some OB on the left and the right. It's just really tough to get down into this green complex in 2, as there's that late cut through the woods you have to have. Just a very, very tough one.
Well, and you were talking about how challenging this is. This is playing at 4.35 as the 4th most difficult hole on the course right now. Only 5 players have taken birdies. I think they're worth giving the shout out to: Dion Arlen, AJ Risley, Matt Oram, Thomas Gilbert, and Dustin Keegan. And Dustin Keegan having arguably one of the best rounds out on the course right now, as we saw him at 11 under. I believe they still had to score his 18th hole, so I'm not sure exactly where that stands at the moment, but certainly a stellar round for Dustin Keegan. And I think that number is going to get challenged here as we're watching so many other really good scores come in throughout this round.
Yeah, Dustin parred hole 1, but then birdied the next 10 in a row. But since then, he's only shot 1 under par. We saw Jeremy Colling with a killer round as well, and he actually has gone bogey, bogey, double bogey on 15, 16, and 17. Ooh, and Simon's got one way down there. This is going to give him a huge opportunity for birdie. Even though he's on that right side of those trees, it's a tough angle from over there. He's gotten enough distance down the fairway to potentially bring birdie into play here. Now we see Nate as such a good roller thrower. Let's see if he decides to go with the roller as well.
I believe he is. I think this is going to be a star side one. I talked about him before the round. Yeah, put it in there just for this hole.
It's a little short, though.
Here's Kevin Jones. You know he's going to be putting a move on this one. That is a great looking angle here by Kevin Jones.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be the best.
Oh.
I mean, it still is. I mean,
Yeah.
He's gotten it way up there. That tree's going to make it difficult for him to progress up the fairway. Oh, man, what a shot there by Kevin. He was the first of our players that we've seen in all 3 days of coverage to actually get the roller down to the left side of that main part of the fairway. Unfortunately, just not able to beat that last big tree. And look at Conrad. Look at this angle. Does it have enough speed to flip?
Yeah, James.
At Dynamic Discs, we offer affordable custom stamping to help your company, club, event, or tour stand out from the rest. We can use your own design, or we'll work with you to design a stamp that captures the tone of your event. We'll get your discs stamped quickly and on their way within 3 weeks. If you're ordering for an event, you may qualify for one of our sponsorship tiers as well. Discs are listed at our best pricing with a minimum 50 disc order with a 10 disc minimum per mold. We have junior and mini discs available as well. For all the information you need, head over to dynamicdiscs.com or email custom@dynamicdiscs.com.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Can I get a Nate check or maybe a mic check?
Mic check 1 2.
We are back here, guys. Thanks for your patience. Having a little bit of a challenge sometimes, as some of may or may not have heard you say, Nate. Sometimes just technology doesn't always play nice with us, so we're going to do our best here. And we're looking at Kevin Jones. He's outstretched to the right. It seems like that's going to be his best option.
Yeah, just that last big tree, man. Had he just missed it, he would have been down in the perfect position. Nate Sexton was only able to get his shot about another third up the fairway. He'll have just a pitch into this green. And you just see why it's such a difficult birdie. Because if you're not in the perfect position, you just have so many big trees to navigate. And then you have this last late cut through the trees to get over on the green side of the fairway. Oh, and Kevin hit a tree. He was loving the line of it. And now we're going to see Simon, who made it all the way to that right side, Terry, and he's got this kind of tight line, but he's on the proper side of the big trees. Oh, and Simon just hitting late also. Just shows even if you're in a great spot, there's really no gimmies on this one at all. And this is where James turned out. All that cut angle he had on there. He's got this beautiful angle. He's got this wide open hyzer line. It's just about him avoiding those late trees to get into the green area.
And the crowd loves it. What a great shot by James Conrad. He's just behind a tree that's on the left side of the screen. And James will be looking at that very short putt. Hole 7 clearly one that is going to challenge these players pretty much every aspect of their game, because we see so much creativity out here. You've got forehands, backhands. You've got, really maybe their first attempt at a full-blown scramble that we find out here on the course. A lot of the other shots are relatively open. They either are putting or they're not. Here, I think there's just so much more creativity that's required. And Kevin Jones, after hitting a tree on his approach shot, he's left with this. This is his third shot. And it appears to be routine from here.
You just got the one big tree to miss. He's done that, and what a beautifully executed shot. I was going to say, James Conrad needed that. He needed that shot. He needs this birdie bad, because these guys are going to start to take off. And James is one of our top dogs here, and he has enough holes to play. He just has to not let Simon get too many strokes ahead. We know as we get to the back nine, everything changes, and birdies become a lot more difficult to get. See Nate just chipping up there. But as we get to that back nine, if you're 1 or 2 strokes back, it can be difficult to gain those because the birdies are just that much more difficult when we get back there.
Earlier during the break between when we finished up the FPO and we started out the MPO, I was over at the park where you and Val were serving up some delicious Bevel beer. And I sat down with James Conrad and Michael Johansson. They let me sit at the long hair table, even though I did get the haircut. And they were talking about how much tougher it is to score on the back as Simon almost still rings up the birdie from long range. And they were saying, you know, it's so much easier on the front. You can score on the back, but it's so much easier on the front side. And we saw some of that yesterday unfold. So Nate, exactly your point, kind of rack them up in the front and kind of just hold on, and you have to be a little bit more precise moving into the back half of this course.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a 2 or 3 stroke lead, you know, standing on the tee of 14, you would think in your mind, okay, just don't make any big mistakes. And there's the birdie confirmed. Look at the crowd giving it up for James. Eagle McMahon has now through 10 holes. He's in the group right ahead of these guys, and he is at 22 under par. He's birdied 10. See how Eagle does on 11 and 12. And I think that's going to tell us a lot about his chances to potentially win here. And here we are. We've made it over to hole 8, 315 feet. Sort of a tricky hole if you don't have a backhand, although we saw yesterday Michael Johansson throw a beautiful turnover on it. But what it is you got this big OB area we're flying over right now. And a big sidearm is going to help you traverse around these dead trees and work your way over to the green. You have really about 50, 60 feet long of this basket inbounds, but only 15 to 18 feet to the right of it. So a big sky hyzer on the sidearm is really what the players want to do. Finish about 10 to 15 feet to the left of the basket is absolutely ideal. And there's the top 10 leaderboard.
Wow. And Simon Lizotte, who started the day in first, remains in first place. But now his teammate, Eagle McMahon, has caught up to him, has moved up 5 positions by sitting at -8 through 10 holes. So what an incredible start for Eagle, as you were just saying. Drew Gibson right in the thick of things, sitting at 21 under par. He's got a few extra holes ahead of him. Nate Sexton, of course, right there, James Conrad, and Ricky Wysocki, who you mentioned a few moments ago. So it's so incredibly tight. And then everyone at 19 right there. You're talking 3 strokes separating the top 10 or 12 players. So much golf to play and the challenging back 9.
Yeah, big update on behalf of Ricky Wysocki. He actually got through hole 11 and 12 going birdie, and then got to his absolute nemesis, who in competition, Ricky Wysocki has double bogeyed hole 13 the last 3 times and going all the way back to the World Championships. Today, he has officially parred it, so things are getting better. But Ricky is on a really good run as well for a good top finish. I don't think he's going to have enough holes to win this event. We saw how that difficult backhand, James finishing inbounds. Not a bad effort there by Simon. A little bit low.
I was thinking that I kind of held my breath for a moment. I thought that looks low. And this sets up very well for Nate Sexton. Let's see what he can do with the forehand. And pins it, as you might expect.
Nice shot there by Nate. And Nate's kind of on the edge right now. He has to continue to ride as well. He's tied with James. And again, as I said yesterday in our breakdown of the round, here's Kay Jones. A little low. And that's going to be OB. There's the red flag. Unfortunate for Kevin.
And we'll be back in a moment. Nate, we have to mention that when I woke up this morning, we were looking at rain coming in at 3 p.m. and knock on wood, we have yet to see any. It's now 4 o'clock and we haven't seen any, as KGA USA was about to make it rain there as he almost cashed that long one in from the drop zone. And they're going to have a walk down through the little lower valley area.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I would say for Kay Jones, that really spells the end of his championship run here at the Portland Open. I just don't think he's going to bogey this hole. Lizotte may birdie. That's going to put him at least 4 back. It's going to be tough for him to make up that ground. Getting a little peek at the 11th hole there. It's such a tough hole when we get to 11, man. So tough.
Not if you ask Paige Pierce.
Right.
And I mean, if to touch on briefly, spoiler alert, Paige Pierce, your FPO champion, of course, congratulations to her. If you were to look back at where this event could possibly had a turning point or even be won, you have to look at hole number 11. Paige Pierce takes the birdie on it today. She birdied it yesterday. There were only 2 birdies in the FPO division this weekend, and she had both of them, and they came in rounds 2 and 3. And today, Kat did par it, but yesterday she took the double bogey, or should I say triple bogey, 7. So Paige Pierce playing hole number 11 in just 10 total strokes this weekend. Any player at this tournament would take that all day long. Now we're back with James Conrad with a long putt here on 8.
Yeah, and if the people out there are wondering, well, did the ladies play a different tee? To my knowledge, they did not.
They did not
So
on hole 11.
That's incredibly impressive.
It sure is.
For all the trouble we've seen. And here's James.
And James lunging forward, gives it a good run. Unfortunately, doesn't draw any metal. And Simon a little bit closer than I thought he was off of that tee shot. He's inside the circle.
Yeah, big, statement putts. We're going to talk about this all afternoon. Simon has to just step up and can these, and he's done it there. Beautiful putt by Simon Lizotte. Look at him. He looks so confident right now. He's locked in. Bogey for Kay Jones. Well, we haven't even got to Nate Sexton's drive yet. He did pin this thing, didn't he?
I believe he said that he missed this one yesterday. So again, a little redemption from yesterday's round. Today, he cleans up 2 strokes on 6 and picks up another one here on 8 that he let go yesterday.
And now we're on hole 9, 515 feet. Again, this front 9, this is going to finish our front 9. A very, very gettable hole. Probably the easiest hole to par, as all the players have to do is throw a big, wide hyzer into a very, very wide landing zone. It's this zone right here that you're going to see as the landing zone. And from that landing zone, the players have anywhere from 90 to 130 feet into a moderate-sized green, maybe 30, 35 feet to the out-of-bounds area. But I already know for a fact this is playing as the easiest hole. I'll let you bring that up. But there obviously is a possibility at 515 for people to go for it. And from what we heard, Garrett Gerthy.
There's a few people that are not only crazy enough, but capable
and
or
good
capable
enough,
and crazy enough. One being Double G, Garrett Gerthy. We see on UDisc he's scored the eagle here today. I believe there was an eagle in the opening round. They needed it from 180 or 190 feet. Double G, just 27 feet.
Wow.
Today. So
Incredible.
Double G takes the eagle 2 today. And as you mentioned, coming in as the easiest hole on the course, 85% of our players have taken a birdie or better. In fact, technically 87 players with a birdie and the 1 eagle out there. So you have to go out and get this at least for birdie. Simon's not in any kind of pressing mode. Otherwise, I would love to see him go for this in terms of an eagle, but clearly the smart shot here, just put it out there, take the easy birdie and move on. That's exactly the play he's going for here.
Yeah, and Double G teeing off somewhere right around 115 today. Really, all he had to do today was go out and just go for everything. Speaking of eagles, Eagle McMahon has officially now birdied hole 11. Let's see what he does on 12. These are big holes for Eagle. I know folks at home were talking a lot about him, but he's not on our featured card. But this is a guy who can make a run. He can make a run from the second card. He proved it in Vegas. He's proved it at many other events as well. So Eagle McMahon is still a massive factor in this tournament.
And Nate Sexton goes with a backhand off the tee, putting himself also in really good position.
James just a little bit wide there, but he's going to land right in the middle.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say, as long as you're not out of bounds, you're probably going to be in a perfectly fine position from our MPO players. Anywhere in bounds is going to give you a chance to get up and down. And that's why it plays as one of the easiest.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
The Raptor was created for a specific shot, a specific distance, and especially comfort. A lot of thought went into the design of the Raptor. We wanted to make a disc comparable to the Zone that just went a little bit further with that consistency. And with the Raptor, I really feel like we accomplished that.
We're here just behind the basket of hole number 9. Thank you guys for joining us today here on Memorial Day and the entire Memorial Day weekend. Both Nate and I would love to extend all of our thanks to all service members, given so much for our safety, for our freedom, and for everything that we have and love here in the USA and beyond. Happy Memorial Day. Here's James Conrad, hole number 9. This is the approach shot, and this is relatively routine.
Yeah, Terry, these are the absolute best players in the world at playing disc golf. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, a shot from this. Now, the other thing we haven't really mentioned, as that one comes in also pretty close. The one other thing we haven't mentioned is this entire weekend, wind has not been a factor. Typically for Blue Lake, wind can really, really ratchet up the difficulty on this course. But fortunately for our players as well as the spectators, the wind hasn't been too bad at all. So all green lights here for all of our players. Nate just comfortable with that sidearm and chipping it right into this green. We were just talking in the break, Terry, how while Eagle is playing absolutely incredible, we can still see something very, very special from him. They're 3 holes behind our lead card, and they're the second card. So Simon has the advantage in the sense that he still has those holes to play. So you could say, well, I mean, he's got bogey opportunities, but of course he has a lot of birdie opportunities too.
And we know that some people have been talking about, we see a DNF listed next to Paul Ulibarri's name here in the tournament. We are uncertain as to what the condition or situation is. I appreciate that. In fact, I actually just got a message from his mother, Pat, who is watching. She hasn't heard anything yet as to the official word, nor have I, and we both told each other we'd update one another as we hear. Hopefully everything's all right with Yuli. We're guessing there's something related to hopefully what would only be a minor injury or challenge for Yuli out there.
Yeah, we were talking earlier in the week, and yeah, he's been dealing with a few injuries, and what we saw in the lower corner there was Eagle making that birdie opportunity on 12, which he's missed. But yeah, I remember Paul or Yuli, I can't just say Paul, Yuli, talking about some injuries he was dealing with. So unfortunately, that's maybe caught up with him a little bit. And boy, I know that feeling from last year, having to step out of the Memorial and ended up doing a lot of commentary with a lot of terry cloths and tea kettles and tea bells and all that. But yeah, unfortunate for Paul Ulibarri.
It's all right, Nate Dogg.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Star frame. Let's call the front nine done for now. We won't see that front nine for 363 days or 2 days. But here we are on the back nine, par 3, 295 feet. It's a really a kind of a tricky hole, turning from left to right. You have to come out of sort of a tight angle right off the tee. And then as we come into the green, it's all about not going too far to the right or long of this basket is immediate OB. We saw Michael Johansson putt it into the OB yesterday, but it's one you want to leave just about a 15-foot putt to the left is the ideal position. And when I say ideal position, I'm obviously not including a park job. I think really 15 or 20 feet to the left of this basket is ideal. Step up, make your putt, and move on. Sort of a tricky green.
Well, it comes in at 2.69, the 13th most difficult hole on the course. Oh, I think I just saw Junior run by. He's back out for more action. Oh, no, that's Junior's cousin. All right. Well, some players hunting down birdies out here. We'll see how the action continues to unfold. Simon Lizotte right now just rolling through the course. I know you mentioned a moment ago, Eagle did have a look at birdie on 12. He wasn't able to convert. And so Eagle, for the moment, stays in a tie for second place.
No, he's solo second at 23.
Okay, sorry, solo
and Nate's
second.
score is official at 22. At this point, I would say this tournament, Drew Gibson has an outside chance depending on what Simon does.
Wow, and Simon with a just flat out not enough power there.
Yeah, and I like I said, T-Dog, it's just tricky enough. In a way, I'm surprised I don't see Simon with a sidearm, but we'll see this sidearm by Nate Sexton. He's going to feel very confident with this shot. Just about picking that line. He's left it a little high. This worries me just a little bit. Oh, but it's nice. Nicely spiked in there. Looks like he's on the inbound side of those stakes, so he'll get a little bit of relief. The great angle, he won't even be putting at the OB, but that turnover is so touchy. And the question will be, what does Simon Lizotte do from where he landed? I think if I was advising Simon, I would say lay it up, buddy. We have a lot more birdie opportunities. Just lay it up. We'll move on to 11 and try to execute that hole.
Oh, and this is just floaty enough. Oh, but it's not quite enough power. I like the angle initially, but just not enough power to get all the way there.
Yeah, you could see James in the background with his hand just asking for it to carry to the right. He was hoping for a little bit more glide. K. Jones, that's got a lot of angle. That's going to be just at the edge of the circle.
Passion is more than fiery emotion. It feeds the spark to start your day. It fuels your obsessions. It inspires your dreams. Passion challenges your fears, and it repeatedly bathes you in sweat until you are transformed into a new, better you. Disc golf isn't just your passion. It's ours too.
Before every round, tighten the wheel knobs. Remember to tighten both sides simultaneously using a clockwise motion. Only tighten the set screw once your wheel knobs have been tightened. To even more securely attach your umbrella holder, you can lower the handle by about 1 inch and then attach the clip just above the handle. You can turn the umbrella holder upside down to help secure the umbrella so it doesn't move from side to side.
Yeah, now Simon's just a little bit closer than we thought. Now, I thought he was out towards the second circle, but there was a very wry smile on his face.
Well, he knows what he should be doing or what he could be doing.
Yes!
Wow. Simon Lizotte.
Smart. You know, the one thing that Simon has to...
Everyone is laughing right now because they all know that Simon is not one to lay up.
No, he's not. Here's the thing. How does Simon right now internally feel? He has to just lay it up and just move to 11.
Sure.
He can't think about, oh, I should have went for it.
Yeah, no. He's probably still a little conflicted, and let's hope that he can get over that and be very content with the par.
Man.
Just slides out on that right side. James a little bit frustrated. A very super quick update. I did get a text back from Paul Ulibarri's mom, Pat. She tells me that it is a knee injury and that it is swollen. So that's why we are not seeing Paul Ulibarri complete the round here today. So we wish you the best, Paul. KJ, no fear. I believe that's a sticker somewhere on a back of a pickup truck, actually. And as you mentioned, Nate Sexton just with a really good position, even though he has this 18 feet, OB should not even come into his mind whatsoever. It's an all but gimme putt in the first place, but just even that much more relieving that he's not putting straight at the OB, in fact, that he's parallel to it. So 2 pars, 2 birdies, and we're now more than halfway through this final round. Let's move over to hole 11, the daunting par 4.
Yeah, par 4, 670 feet. The landing zone is right here, folks. If they can get it into that zone, they'll have a big spike hyzer over the top. Really, it's the only way to access this green. We saw Michael Johansson yesterday try to play low. He unfortunately he went OB, as there's all kinds of OB down in this area in the woods, cutting through the woods. Well, really, the players are going to try to come up and land in this flat plateau area and head into the green and into the basket. Oh, T-Dog, I was just kind of looking over and calculating what our scoring opportunities are, and we see Nate Sexton there in second place. And I think right now it's going to come down between Drew Gibson, Eagle, Nate, and Simon.
Okay. Yeah.
Just looking at how many holes we have left, it's really those 4 guys because Ricky's done. Now, Ricky's name is up there, but I believe he's completed his round, or at least he has 2 holes left. But
as you're saying,
I just don't think anybody can sneak up.
Correct. And as you're really saying, with even with a great score that Ricky Wysocki is likely going to come in with, it's just not going to be enough because there's so much golf to be played by the rest of our card. Now, Kevin Jones lining up for his drive here. Someone with the power of Kevin Jones is throwing this at what? 60% maybe, Nate?
If that. And he's asking to forget down because what had just happened for him, he's got this tight angle now. He's really kind of caught up. But yeah, I've used the term all season long. It's a flick of the wrist. And that's what it feels like for these guys. When they step up there, they're just kind of getting a normal arm swing with just a little pop of the wrist. And Simon's put it in absolutely perfect position on the right side, about 30 feet past that middle tree.
Oh, that's the one spot you don't want to be, is anywhere near that tree or pinched up against it or inside of it. We'll be back in a moment.
And yeah, now it's what do we see James Conrad do from here? Is a horrible position. Remember, we saw Ricky in that first round thinking he was going to potentially go for it from here. There's really not much to do but lay up. One thing that James has to do here is not rush through this layup. Pick a spot you want to be. And I don't know if that was exactly where he wanted to be. It seems like I would have put myself a little bit more to the right. But either way, James stuck up in that tree.
And James comes in at a towering 7'4", I think. So, I mean, that's at least 14 feet up there. My math could be off. I make no promises.
They don't pay us to do math, T-Dog.
Yeah, that's why we have U-Disc. I mean, come on. And now we have Nate Sexton throwing his approach shot.
And now because of how stretched we are out on the course, I don't think we're really going to see much of Eagle. But he has birdied hole 13 now to move himself to 24 under par. So there's a cat and mouse game on the course going on right now. Nate's left that a little bit on the inside, in my opinion, and we see the red flag there.
Wow.
So it was just inside. I mean, he went inside that big dead tree, which to my visual, he needs to go outside of it.
Incredible. And you also, in the corner, we were seeing Eagle McMahon throw his tee shot out there on what I believe is hole 14.
Yeah, it's a cat and mouse game between two of the world's best and good friends. I mean, these guys, love hanging out with each other and love getting back and forth. They're both sponsored by Discmania, but Simon and Eagle putting on a show for our fans out here for sure.
And Kevin Jones is going to use every bit of the power he has to take that huge hyzer. And it comes in short of the basket, but stays inbounds. And he's going to have a look at a birdie from what looks to be just around circle's edge.
Yeah, maybe just inside it. I would say, maybe 20, 25. That was a great shot there by Kevin, having to create all of that angle. Big shot for Simon right now. Huge shot, actually. This is one of those.
And Simon also inbounds what looks to be a little bit short, but he should have a putt that is maybe a little obstructed. Not too bad, though, for Simon Lizotte. And his putter has been on. So I know we talked on that last hole whether the smart play was to run at it or to lay up. I'm perfectly fine with him laying up. But had he run it, I wouldn't have been surprised. His putter is pretty dialed in here today.
The only putt we saw him miss was a very easy putt on 16 yesterday.
And now, remember, this is Conrad's third shot.
Oh, beautiful.
That is great. He may get up and down and be still looking at the par. We'll be back in a moment.
Love getting outside and challenging yourself to become better? How about spending time with family and friends, or just marveling at the pure joy of flight? Then you've come to the right place at the right time. Join the PDGA.
Hi, guys.
Interesting location for Nate's mark. My guess is that he went so far inside that he hit that big tree that's up to his left and then kicked back out of bounds. That's the only way that I can conceivably see him landing here. But unfortunately, this is going to be his fourth shot. So he'll take a bogey on this hole. That's a huge mistake, as Simon's going to have a putt to go to 25 under par. As you said, it was a little bit inside, but he should still have a look as long as he's able to kind of make his way through those trees.
Take a quick look at the scoreboard here. Thanks to UDisc, Simon Lizotte, Eagle McMahon right now both tied at that 24 under. Nate Sexton's going to fall off the pace at least just a little bit because he is going to be tapping in for a bogey. Meanwhile, Simon's looking at a birdie 3 right now, as is KJ.
Well, and this tells us a lot. So we can see that KJ, you're right. Actually, you called it out right, T-Dog. He's just outside the circle, which means Simon Lizotte is probably inside the circle. So we can use that as a judge.
This also gives Kevin an opportunity to go with kind of a lunging jump putt, and we know how much he loves that distance.
Basically on the bottom side of that band, almost knocking it down. Very obstructed. You can see what Simon's dealing with. Sort of a trick shot, though. Should like this. Spin to win. Spin to win, T-Dog.
There it is.
Beautiful putt there by Simon. He's gotten past the first real sort of, you know, I don't know what's that word I'm looking for, but, you know, kind of the pitfall hole where he can get caught up. He's gotten past it with a birdie, equaled his good friend, Eagle McMahon, on this hole. There you go. It's in the books. Let's move over to hole 12, 400 feet. The tee pad is officially out of bounds. And so if you don't make it through this gap, you're going to proceed directly to the drop zone. It's really sort of a very, very tight gap. We saw a lot of the players throwing a sidearm coming up and out of here just to sort of make that control shot. Once you get out the gap, it opens up completely wide open, nothing in your way until you get into this stand of trees. And really the right side's a little thinner than the left, but the OB comes in on the right more than the left. So there it is. Again, one of these pitfall type of holes. I really call, you know, 11, 12, 17 are the big pitfalls as far as those outlier type holes.
Well, and those are, of course, the ones that you can find the most trouble. And not only find the most trouble, but sometimes there might be the backup there that you have to contend with that. You have to think about seeing a lot of different shots happening, you know, even just mentally, as I'm sure you know. Well, maybe not. You always play on really good cards. But when you're watching a card struggle on a tough hole, next thing you know, there's 6 or 8 or 10 shots thrown about, and you guys aren't even on a green yet.
Right.
And you're starting to think, okay, this is dragging on. And that might be even a little bit mentally taxing on some of the cards. So, but if the group is good, the vibe is good, it seems like that kind of carries you through some of those more challenging holes. Right now, seems like that's certainly the case.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to see a backup. I don't anticipate one, considering the group ahead of these guys just tapped out on hole 14.
Yeah, and this shot is so crucial to this round if Simon can get out clean. Simon really thinking about this tee shot.
Needs to get down. He's going towards the OB on that side. Oh, it was very, very close. But the reaction from Simon says it all. He's inbounds. He'll have an outside look at birdie from that side. Eagle has officially birdied hole 14 as well. So he's now 25 under par. Here's Kay Jones. Got that snapped over. There's a lot more space on that side. And he's going to have a blocked out. That's almost, I mean, it could be almost an impossible up and down. He's so far left with all those big trees, or not big, but tiny little trees, no big gaps, I guess. But yeah, boy, Eagle McMahon, oh, what an incredible round. He's 11 under par. He's played 14 holes. Ricky Wysocki's 12 under par. He's played 16 holes.
And that looks to be clean for James Conrad. And that's going, wow, that might be the, yeah, that is definitely the closest shot that we've seen to the basket in our 3 rounds of coverage here from off the tee. Great shot by James Conrad. He'll definitely have an obstructed putt, as you can see, but he's at least looking at the birdie from probably circle's edge.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where Adam ended up on this tee shot yesterday. I know he threw a really, really good one, but that was a sidearm. James executing an absolutely beautiful backhand, which is the much more difficult line. Nate asking for it to sit.
And we'll have to see if that's inbounds. We'll be back in a moment.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
And we are back. A moment ago, we saw in that commercial with the PDGA as one of our proud supporters and sponsors and partners here with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, one of the featured gentlemen in there, Michael Downs. Quick shout out to Michael as he recently became engaged. She said yes. So congrats to him. And her.
Yeah. So you see Nate was inbounds, as well as we believe. Well, this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure what that might be. Simon's disc right there. So Nate might have actually been out of bounds. I felt as if his disc was going to be OB just because it had a little bit more speed than Simon. Oh, and there it is.
Wow.
Replay that, baby. There it is. Look at this.
And the leg kick punches it in. Nate Sexton, what a putt. And now
that was for par.
And what this makes me think of is yesterday, Kevin Jones ultimately parred this hole. And when he was talking in the interview, he said, I had to hit a 50-footer after going out of bounds. I've got to assume he was roughly in this same spot.
Absolutely. I mean, that was probably exactly what Kay Jones was going through. But Nate was OB, and Simon, not as much in a position to just go completely for it as Nate was. And here's what Kevin's got. Look at this. He's lining up a possible turbo. Yeah, I think he's actually going to go with this.
If there's ever a time to
first turbo this season.
Yeah, any time to channel your inner Johnny McRae, this is it. And the ever enthusiastic and excitable Kevin Jones, so close to canning that turbo putt.
Yeah, he was.
So we see his reaction, so excited as he moves back. We're going to get into position and show you a little bit of the cloudy skies that are out there. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Terry Miller alongside three-time world champion Nate Dawson. Nate, no one is disappointing us. As I look over at the screen and I see, again, just a sea of blue. There's more blue than any other color on the UDisc app right now because these guys are just tearing up this course. And James Conrad, again, I told you, that's the closest we've seen any drive get to the basket. And he, in fact, capitalizes. And he's going to card the birdie here on hole 12. Not an easy feat.
Yeah, that's just a good feeling there. That's a really good feeling there for James Conrad, who has not played well today at all. And here we go on hole 13, 655 feet, par 4. The big challenge here is that the fairway slopes from right to left, feeding a lot of the backhand shots directly towards that OB along the left. The ideal tee shot is going to be a big sidearm, really maybe only 350 out there. That's going to leave you 350 ish into this green here. And the green is tricky as well. Big hill comes in from the left side, OB on the right. Really sidearm, or forehand, however you want to call it, is the ideal look on this hole. And one thing that I just noticed, and I don't know if it's official, is that they gave Simon Lizotte a 4 on that hole. Now, from everything we saw, he got a 3. So I still believe he's at 25 under par.
Yeah, we'll have to double check with UDisc and our volunteer scorekeepers out there to verify if he was in fact inbounds or out. We thought that he was inbounds, but like we said, we'll get an official word on that. And this is James Conrad on the tee of hole number 13. And James Conrad, as we know, always using all of the tee pad and a little more. Those long legs, 7'4". He's got quite the run up.
It's a Tyrannosaurus Rex up there. Oh, yeah. You know, the thing about, as I was saying in the whole preview, you can see the fairway just slopes slightly from right to left. You know, it just, if you get enough air under it, it can feed it right towards that OB. But James has put a beautiful amount of turnover on it. And here you go. Big shot here for Simon Lizotte. Yes, and as we see Simon's second on the card.
Got to fight back. And
oh,
no,
boy.
Simon.
Oh, boy. Now it all has changed up.
Simon Lizotte, who I did have a conversation with last night as he was on the card, jokingly takes a
swipe at the camera.
A funny swipe at the camera as we've all moved on and lived and learned and progressed and grown from that. But Simon Lizotte, the ever so funny, charismatic.
Hey, but now let's get back to it. That was
all right.
I'm good. But seriously, what just happened? Okay, everybody at home, Simon Lizotte is actually at 25 under par. He's OB. He's going to have a very difficult shot now, as when you go OB on the left, those bushes are so big. Oh, man, an eagle right at that moment. Birdies the 15th hole. Oh, boy. Here we go, T-Dog. We're in the saddle, coming down the stretch. This is fun right here.
Buckle up from 13.
When you order from Dynamic Discs, we do our best from start to finish. First, we receive your order from the website and print out the packing slip detailing the specific items you selected. Then, your order is pulled directly from the shelves, packed in a cardboard box to prevent bending during transit, and quickly on its way to you with free shipping. For every purchase online with Dynamic Discs, you'll receive rewards points so you can save on your next order. We'll work with you to make sure you get the exact disc you're looking for. For anything from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs, head to dynamicdiscs.com.
Before each round, inspect the clamps in the handle pole and tighten if needed. Many Zuka Kart users have found the middle pole section to be the most effective place to attach it. Also, you can remove the pouch without undoing the Velcro. If you are flying to a tournament or disc golf vacation, the cart easily disassembles and packs into a suitcase and can be checked as baggage.
And now here's Simon Lizotte. He's right at the FPO pad, which we saw earlier is 440 feet to the pin. And he does keep that one inbounds, but he's outside of circle 2 at this point. And Simon Lizotte with the struggle here on 13. Nate, you've talked about it a number of times, and today he got over that hump. Ricky Wysocki, this is, you want to talk about unlucky number 13. Ricky Wysocki coming into today had double bogeyed this, I believe, 3 consecutive times. Today he takes the par. Right now it looks like it's got Simon Lizotte's number.
Yeah, and what Simon wouldn't pay for a par right now. Sometimes momentum is a big thing. Simon needs to just let go right now. He's going to have a look for a par. Okay, it's an outside chance. There's definitely a chance that he could go ahead and make this putt. There's no doubt about it. But he's got to just forget about that. He is still in the driver's seat in this tournament, as he still has all those holes to play. And now we've just seen Ricky come through with a birdie on the 17th hole. He's at 13 under par. And while Ricky won't win this tournament, absolutely incredible shooting by the 2-time world champ.
As if an approach shot couldn't set up any better than it just did. Wow, Nate Sexton going after the pin here on 13, almost carting the eagle. And earlier, I do have to mention, today from that tee that we just saw Simon throw, he was a little left of it. Paige Pierce stepped up from that tee and threw past the basket a 440-foot shot, and she canned the eagle from the shorter tee. Here's Eagle McMahon.
Yeah, the Birdman Eagle putting it in perfect position on that 16th. And right now, Eagle is the official leader of this tournament at 26 under par. And what we're going to see right now is that Lizotte, who is at 25, if he does not make this putt, Eagle's going to have a 2-stroke lead. So now all of a sudden, we're now going to see if Simon can chase down Eagle.
A new bar may be set in terms of our leader. Eagle McMahon will be in the clubhouse, and he'll be able to either hang out at Tournament Central, or there might be a little mind game to turn around and backtrack and watch Simon close out the tournament if he does get done before him. Now, remember, they're going to have hole 17 to play, and when you get to 17, there might be a backup, and things might somewhat compact up here as they're going into the last few holes. But Eagle may come into the clubhouse a full hole or two ahead of Simon, and if so, we'll see if he backtracks to go watch the final hole or two. This is Simon Lizotte to save his par here on hole 13.
And for everybody in NorCal watching right now, I don't want to skip over Drew Gibson either. Drew is having an incredible round. Drew's played 15 holes. He is 10 under par. He is actually tied with Simon. And Drew is in the group with Eagle. So it's sort of, Drew's only 1 stroke back of Eagle. So Drew is still a big factor in this event. And now it's a 3-man race at this point. Beautiful putt there by Kevin Jones. It's a 3-man race. Eagle McMahon, Simon Lizotte, and Drew Gibson. Let's see who has the fortitude this weekend to step up and take the reins of this championship. incredible action. Absolutely incredible action.
And Simon with the blemish. And what's crazy to see there is in the top 4 competitors here at this tournament, that is literally the only bogey that we see in any of the top 4 competitors from today's round. And thank you to our partners, Windjammers and OTB. Let's take a look at hole 14, Nate.
Yeah, here we are, 875 feet playing back up the hill. It's a converted par 5 from the World Championships in 2014. I just saw a little view of the Birdman there throwing in. But it's really about landing just short of this OB area. And then from there, it's a big uphill bomb up into this green complex over this second OB area, which is where we are right now, into just a beautiful green with this beautiful tree. This is where the stadium begins right here. This is where people are going to be able to watch big shots from our competitors. But boy, 14 and how much things have changed. It was a sea of blue and now that little orange blemish. But here's the thing, Simon Lizotte still has a chance to win this event. He has a few more holes than these guys. We're going to see a score posted by either Drew or Eagle. And just a few holes ago, I was counting up what was the maximum that Eagle could get to and what was the maximum Simon could get to. 29 under par is what Eagle can get to if he birdies out at this point.
Yeah, and Simon with that bogey, though, looks like at the absolute best that he could get to if he takes all birdies is also 29 under par.
So that's where it becomes interesting.
Yeah, that bogey that he just took is certainly going to be part of the story here.
So it's the chase to 29 at this point. I mean, now, of course, we're talking about these guys finishing absolutely perfect, but Eagle could do it. He is feeling so good right now. And again, no time lost on Drew Gibson. He's just 1 stroke back, but his perfect finish would put him at 28.
Okay.
Which was the predicted winning score by the tournament director, Jeff Spring. I remember now it was Jeff that I was talking with. So 28, 29, it's the chase to that number. And we will see what happens. One of the things that gets me so excited, T, is that this is happening over multiple cards. And we don't see that often in this sport. We typically see the lead card as really the winner coming out of that. But it is so much fun to see so many names pop up and down the leaderboard. This is great.
Sexton with a great looking backhand off the tee. Not going to have the distance, as you can see, it looks like he may have thrown that a little bit low. And we all know that Simon Lizotte, more than enough distance here. We'll see how he's going to dissect this hole. That looks to be a little bit low.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that's going to give him a huge second shot. We're going to go over and take a look at Eagle. This is going to be his birdie putt, T-Dog. Chase to 29. Let's see what Eagle's got for us.
And he cans it.
Like nothing. That was dead center.
Oh, and look at as he walks up, retrieves it, and Eagle McMahon is feeling it today. He is currently your leader, and he has just 2 holes left to play. Soon enough, Simon Lizotte and Drew Gibson are going to know what that score needs to be if they want to catch him. And Seppo.
Yeah, we'll see if we're actually going to be able to catch Drew here. Yeah, and there's Drew right there. We'll see what Drew. We don't know where he's lying here on this one. Oh, this looks like to be a birdie putt.
Oh, no. What just happened? He looked back.
Oh, Drew. Oh, my goodness. What an unfortunate break for Drew. Oh, boy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Nate, we both have to pick our jaws up off the
Yeah.
ground. We could not believe that we just saw Drew miss from such short range. Clearly, he's playing so well here today.
Incredible. Yeah.
He's 10 under. So the last thing you're thinking that someone that's in that kind of rhythm is going to miss something from inside 10 feet.
And remember, Simon is way back. That needs to flex a little bit. What a beautiful line. Oh, yeah, baby. What a shot by Simon Lizotte.
Oh, incredible. Our cameramen actually aren't even really in position to get that behind the basket because they're not anticipating anyone getting all the way deep of the basket at this point. But Simon just puts the hurt on that.
Ricky Wysocki is officially in the clubhouse at 25 under. And again, why he won't win a 14 under par round for him.
Wow.
What are these numbers, man? Incredible stuff.
Just one short of the course record. So a solid finish here for Ricky Wysocki today.
Nate just playing this now smart. He left his tee shot too far back to really take an attempt at the green. Unlike Simon, who that shot laid out well for Simon, as he obviously is one of the longest throwers in our tour.
Just incredible.
Absolutely incredible. Here's Kay Jones.
That one's off to the right. It does not appear to have enough stability. And I think he may actually be flirting with the out of bounds line on that side. And I think I just saw a green flag go up, but Eagle McMahon in the corner I just saw throw his tee shot. I couldn't tell just how good it was.
It took a bad kick there at the end, T-Dog, and I don't know exactly where it will end up, but oh boy, 17 is just that trap that the players have to try to avoid.
And this is Seppo throwing his tee shot here on 17. We'll cut back to the action here on 14.
Incredible action and how quickly it can change. Here's James. Oh, what a beautiful looking shot. That should give him a great opportunity for birdie. Amazing.
We hear the gallery erupt. Well, we're going to head back over. We were going to check in with the booth, but we got one more shot, I believe, that we're going to see on the tee of 17. And then all 8 of our players will, in fact, be walking.
Yeah, and this is Nate Perkins. Nate is currently at 4 under for the round. Not playing incredibly well. He's tied for 13. But it's a race now, T-Dog. And we're not the running type.
No, we're not. Not this week. I'm going to pick up jogging next week. But
good stuff.
In the meantime, thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got a great, huge crowd online watching. Please share the link. We know that this is going to come down to just an outright cat fight between these players. I mean, they're just going back and forth every single shot, knowing that we're going to see Eagle come in so much earlier probably than what Simon is. Simon may be checking scores. He may make decisions based on that, or maybe he'll tune all of that out. We'll have to see. But Nate Sexton back considerably farther than the rest of his card mates after his second shot.
Yeah, and Sexton just playing this hole for a par as his drive was pretty far back. I'm just sitting back and analyzing things here, T. From my perspective, at this point, I kind of want to put Eagle in the driver's seat, but 17 is just one of those holes, because Simon's 3 back at this point. Depending on what Eagle does here on 17, let's just say he pars it and birdies out and he gets to 28. That's the number right there. That's the big number there for Eagle, is 28, I think.
All right, looks like we've got Kevin Jones Not quite all the way back by circle 2, but pretty close. This has to be at least 55 feet. Yeah. And so,
with the shooter McGavin, he put up the
Zuka replay is going to show us that one again. And surprisingly, he had to pause. He didn't know if he had it, but it looked good the whole way. Kevin Jones ringing it up here on hole 14.
This is going to be Nate for his par 4. He's just inside the circle.
Yeah, solid putt by Nate Sexton. I think we're going to head back real quickly. This is Eagle McMahon. We believe this is his second shot. It's a standstill on 17. And that's unfortunately the one camera we have over there at the moment. But Eagle trying to play up that right-hand side here on hole 17. Here's Simon. And that does just grab the last few chains and drop in.
Yeah, Simon has to birdie out now. So each one of these putts, the pressure rises. Each one of these shots, the pressure is going to continue to elevate for Simon. But yeah, is he doing scorecard watching? I don't know. I'm the type of person that wouldn't. In this day and age, while we're not the PGA Tour and we don't have scoring, big boards that show the scores of the players are very aware of what everybody else is doing.
And also, to be fair, Simon checks his phone about 300 times more a day than you do, Nate. So
300, that's it. I think it's 3,000 maybe, but
Drew Gibson catching a little bit of tree. He's unsure of where that's going to go or if that's a good shot for him.
And here we are. Let's take a look at what our lead card is doing. Hole 15, 780 feet. Plays over this low area up to this road. This is where the players want to land, just to the left of that tree. And from there, we want to take the big hyzer shot out and around this tree, turning left into the green. Really not much trickiness to this green at all, but really it's all about the tee shot and the second shot. Because if you can put yourself in the proper position off the tee, it's just a big hyzer from there. And there's the green.
Well, what's really great about hole number 16 here is the fact that, or correction, as we're looking at hole number 15, we're waiting for the graphic actually to switch over for us. This comes in as the 4th most difficult hole on the course, averaging 4.26. We've seen 20 of our players take the birdie here, and 2 of them atop of the leaderboard being Drew Gibson, Eagle McMahon, as they just rolled through here not too long ago. And now we have James Conrad on the tee.
Feel like on 17, if Eagle can avoid an OB, he should be just fine. And James has got this snapped over too much. And he's going to be OB. Golly, it's a tough shot. I feel like James should have easily been able to just throw the big hyzer, but decided to go with the flip up.
Kevin Jones at best is going to be right on the edge as then he starts to fight back. What I was really trying to state is that I don't even think that crossed the out of bounds line at any point. We'll see what Simon's going to do. This is a huge tee shot for Simon.
Simon has to just stay calm.
He goes with something overstable.
It's the perfect position, T-Dog.
Yeah, that is a great shot by Simon Lizotte.
Simon just has to take one shot at a time at this point. This tournament is still in his grasps. Gotta mention, James Conrad quietly just moving up 24 under par. James hasn't played well, but boy, finishing strong here. He's got 3 birdies in a row. Here's Eagle.
Well, this is Eagle's 3rd shot here.
He could give himself a look at birdie, Terry. Oh, no.
Eagle hitting a tree no more than 30 or 40 feet in front of him.
And you can see this is the direct line to the green, that shot that we had. As you see, circle 2 flags right there. Oh, man, that was a huge opportunity for Eagle to really just ratchet up that pressure. And now he's going to have a touchy shot into the green.
He will, and at best, he's looking at the par right now. Meanwhile, Drew Gibson, this is his 3rd shot. And Drew seems to have an opening here all the way to the green. Let's see if he can control the angle because we know it's on the hillside. And Drew's going to be just about at circle's edge. He'll be putting straight up at the basket, which will be mounted on the hillside there as it's panned over.
That's a big opportunity for Drew because Drew could go, to 26 right there. He could birdie the last one, go to 27. Still an outside chance for Drew, but nice tournament for Drew. This we haven't seen much of his name on our leaderboards this season, but having a nice finish here at the Portland Open.
Yeah, definitely putting it together. And you've talked a few times about that 28, 29 under, whatever it might be. I think in this case, 28. James Conrad right now does sit at 24 under. There's really mathematically no counting him out either, as he's got 4 holes left to play, including the one he's on. He could find himself at 28 under as he's strung together.
OB. Yeah, so he's OB on this
Well, he's going to put this one in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to rain on our parade here, Nate.
No, not at all. We did see that disc, I believe, of Eagle come in, and he'll have a par putt from that point. There's the
Get in the hole.
Go in. Just for T-Dog.
Oh, no, and unfortunately, that actually might be finding the OB on that left side. Couldn't tell for sure where it came down, but it definitely is in that neighborhood.
Huge shot here by Simon. Is his counterpart in the story of this event is putting for par on the 17th hole. Simon needs to put this one in close. I think at this point, putting too much stress on that putting game could be damaging for him. Let's see what Simon's able to do. He goes big spike, way high, higher than what I would have expected. And that's going to put him far on that left side.
He will have a long putt for his birdie attempt.
And Eagle just tapped in there in the picture-in-picture.
That is for a par over on hole number 17.
Drew Gibson was able to get that his putt for birdie to go, so he's at 26. If Eagle were to par the last hole, we could see Drew birdie the last hole and tie at 27.
We're going to be back in a moment.
I can throw this disc around the world in 1 shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
What do you think flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen. Cheers. Ooh, that's good.
a hard day. It's great.
And it looks like we've headed over to hole number 18. And I'm going to call it, Nate. We're not going to see rain this round. That's a bold, I know that might be a bold move right now, but I'm
Don't
thinking,
do it, T. Don't do it. Oh, I think I agree with you. You know, we haven't had any backups.
yeah, and I don't think we're going to see any, as this is the second card that's teeing here on hole number 18. Seppo throwing a clean shot. We're going to head over to Kevin Jones.
And for all the super fans of Finland out there, Seppo Paiu's had an absolute great round as well. 11 under par. Let's put this a little bit in perspective for everybody at home. Eagle McMahon's at 13. Drew's at 11. Lizotte is at 7. Seppo's at 11. Ricky's at 14. Those are our top 5 players. Lizotte is the only one in single digits.
Drew Gibson could have a share of the lead by the time he completes hole 18 here. And he crushes that drive and putting him in really good position. He's got both a low Anheuser route or possibly a forehand, or he can go up and around with the hyzer. Now, Eagle McMahon needs to get up and down and take the birdie here if he wants to really secure himself in good position to possibly win this from the second card.
He's watching it with a very watchful eye. He's gotten around the main corner and into the main part of the fairway. Right there, that gives Eagle a huge opportunity to birdie this hole and to be in the clubhouse at 28 under par.
There's James Conrad for his 4. Oh, and he started to run it down. He thought he had it. And Conrad even backed more than I realized he was. He was almost at circle 2.
Now, this is a very interesting situation. And this is disc golf, folks. If Simon Lizotte is OB on this shot,
yeah, we're going to try and get confirmation here. This maybe Kevin's shot that is being sought after right now. As I think you were about to say, if this was in fact,
because
no,
that's Kevin's disc right
yeah,
there.
there's Kevin.
Oh, exactly. Now I know what we're talking about here. His second shot, which he threw a big turnover, went OB left. I think they were just looking to see if they could find it. This is now Kevin for 5. Because of the angle Kevin had off the tee into this green, he had to go with a turnover. He skies that one up over the top. Now we should see Simon Lizotte sneak in here for his now birdie putt.
Yeah, and again, keeping in mind, Simon Lizotte putting for birdie. He sits at 25 under par. He's just outside circle 1. Drew Gibson is at 26. Eagle McMahon at 27. Oh, Lizotte's attempt just off the top band, and he will remain, oh my gosh, he will remain at 25 under par. He is currently tied for third, technically, with Seppo, who is on hole 18. We're cutting over to Drew Gibson. Drew Gibson's trying to push himself to 27 under par, and he will do it. Drew Gibson going to move to 27 under par.
Man, that short miss putt by Drew is going to haunt him.
It may cost him. It may cost him here today for sure on hole 16. You're right, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, because, well, of course, let's wait and see what Eagle does before we even go down that road. But still, an unfortunate miss At this point, the lowest that Simon Lizotte could be is 28 under par. He has just 3 holes left. So here's Eagle's shot. This is the shot of the tournament right now. At this point, a tap in is what Eagle wants. And he's pretty much got that for the most part.
That is relatively close here. That should be a routine make for Eagle McMahon. If Eagle can make that, he will move to 28 under par. That will put him 1 clear and keep him 1 clear of Drew Gibson. So Eagle needs to make that. Otherwise, he will at least be tied with Drew Gibson. And Simon Lizotte now is in a must-get birdie situation. He needs to birdie at least 2 out of the remaining 3 holes. If Simon birdies all 3, he could take this thing home yet. But
no. The situation would be if Simon birdies out, we're going to see a playoff.
Correct. I apologize. I was thinking he still had a chance at 16. Of course, he is next to the basket instead for his par. So Simon, if he wants to force a playoff, most likely would need to make the remaining 2 birdies that are available. But first, Eagle needs to make this for that to be an actual thing. Here we go. This is Eagle for the outright lead and possibly the win. No! Unbelievable.
It slipped out the back, and what a reaction. Look at the reaction by Eagle McMahon. An immediate reaction from him. Very, very upset. And you know what? At this point, nobody could blame him. He needs to take a huge deep breath because we might see a playoff here at this point, because now it's going to be him and Drew tied for the lead at 27 under par. Absolutely incredible stuff. Lizotte has an opportunity still to win if he can birdie out. Wow. Wow, T. Whoa.
Nate Sexton's tee shot here over on hole number 16. I'm just in such disbelief. Seppo is in. He sits at 26 under. Technically, Seppo is in 3rd place by himself at the moment. And Simon Lizotte is going to need some heroics here.
We know Simon can do this. We absolutely know Simon can do this. He just has to take 1 shot at a time. But, you know, the thing is he cannot put too much stress on his putting at this point. We saw him with a very good opportunity on the last hole, and it was just high. And as I said yesterday, T, his misses are typically high when he gets that nose up. Oh, you know, as a player, the only thing I want to say about Eagle's putt, it looked as if he just didn't complete the putt all the way. It was a little bit left side. Now, I'm not going to say it's absolutely, you know, it's of course it's heartbreaking to see what we just saw happen to him, but it was not a dead center putt. I mean, it was left side. It swung around and kicked out, you know. It just goes to show each and every one of our fans and all of you disc golfers out there, it's not over till it's over. Man. Boy, a 3-way playoff wouldn't be so bad, huh, T?
Well, our battery power might tell you otherwise. All right. And Kevin Jones with a great drive. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, alongside three-time world champion Nate Doss. And Nate, we're watching Nate Sexton and the rest of this card. The first thing you have to say is we need to see some birdies from these guys if they want a chance to run down this title. And then second of all, they're going to have clear sailing through 17 and 18. There's not going to be a backup. No one is going to get iced. There's no cool down period. This could be advantageous to them as we try and close out this tournament.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody is off the course. It's just 4 guys left. And really, it all comes down to Lizotte at this point. What they've done is they've given Lizotte a pathway to the title. There's a pathway to not a playoff at this point. It's a very difficult pathway, as we have, 16 and 17, which were incredibly difficult holes, and Kay Jones is going left. He needs to get a little luck. Otherwise, he's going to end up OB, which he has. Boy, the crowd is just gathering. But I don't want to dwell on it too much because, it's obviously unfortunate, but the missed putt by Drew, which was just, basically seemed like a lapse of concentration, and then the missed putt by Eagle, and it seems like that was a little bit of a lapse of concentration as well.
Simon Lizotte needs this birdie.
What an interesting line he's taken. Needs to get a little lucky.
Oh, and it looks like it was trying to fight through, but that's going to be short. He's at least outside circle 1.
It's tough for us here in the booth to tell where he ended up. I question that a little bit because that doesn't give you that opportunity to sneak back into that green. We'll see exactly where he landed here in just a moment, but with the title on the line, and you don't want to have to birdie 17. That's just a hole you don't want to have to birdie, if that makes any sense. Because at this point, if you were to birdie this one and birdie 18, he could be in the playoff. But man.
And it is certainly worth noting, hole 16 that our competitors are on right now is coming in as the single most difficult hole relative to par here this weekend. So this is no easy walk in the park as we look and see the 4.42 average.
Incredible. And it's been that way the entire week. What a shot there by James Conrad. Oh, what a beautiful shot there by James. But man, yeah, it's really been the number one most difficult hole all week long. I remember even in round 1, it was also in those rainy conditions.
I'm going to be back with Nate Sexton. Now he's throwing his third shot. He had to pitch up to this spot as he was out of position after the tee shot. Nate doesn't appear to love it, and now we can see why. Looks like he might be off actually in that Simon territory.
Yeah, and just over the last few holes, we've seen Nate's run at this title sort of take a slip, as he did take that 5 way back on hole 11. Still a valiant effort by Nate Sexton. James Conrad in this group at 5 under par for the round. Kevin Jones, who has the course record, shooting a 15 under, just 4 under par today, as he took a double bogey back there on 15. Look at the crowd.
They will all funnel in here on hole 16. You have to be wondering, what are Eagle McMahon and Drew Gibson thinking right now? And they may be out there watching the coverage. They may have turned around and went back out on the course. I'm guessing they're kind of just collecting their thoughts right now. They may even have a little woulda, coulda, shoulda moment, because we saw Gibson give away a very, very short putt here on 16. And then, dare I say, Eagle kind of returned the favor on hole 18.
Oh, he did.
He
absolutely did.
Here we are. They're tied at 27 under par. Seppo is in the clubhouse at 26. So the best finish that we're going to see from Seppo at this point would be third place. And Simon Lizotte clearly still has work to do. And the question is, can he get in there and be part of that tie or possibly surpass them?
Yeah, we can't actually get an eye. And we can see this is actually the shot of Nate Sexton. He's going to be just chipping out. And this is going to be a bogey for Nate at best, as he still has a little bit of work to do, making that error in judgment or error in throwing on that third shot as he laid up on this hole. We still haven't got to Simon, although I just noticed on another camera angle, Simon Lizotte put his mini down. He looks like he's just outside the circle. So he'll have a birdie opportunity. It looked wide open too, T-Dog. So, you know, it's a big putt for Simon.
Well, and as we're watching Kevin Jones line up his, a little fun fact, thanks to Matt over at UDisc, there have only been 2 Disc Golf Pro Tour champions crowned from the second card. One being Paige Pierce, and of course in the FPO field, and the other one being Paul McBeth at Idlewild. And that is somehow in and out. I don't know what kind of what just happened.
Well, we're going to see the instant replay.
Oh, Kevin started to.
Yeah.
I can't even explain that. And this is Simon Lizotte.
This is huge, folks. And we can see one guy behind Simon just moving.
And now he's moving again. He needs to just sit down. Okay. This is Simon for the birdie.
Oh, whoa. There we go. Let's get a little replay on that one, Johnny V, because I'll tell you right now, here it is. This, look at it sneak over the rim.
You just have to wonder, what is Kevin Jones thinking as he just slammed that into the center of the chain? Somehow that doesn't stay in. Meanwhile, Simon Lizotte just barely getting it over the edge. It creeps in, takes a bounce, and then falls for him. That may be a testament. Is it or is it not Simon Lizotte's day today?
Well, and look, I mean, you know this as much as I do. That's disc golf. So many times we've seen great putts not go in and so putts go in. But I think that putt right there takes a little bit of pressure off Simon in the sense that 17 does not become as important to at least get into a possible playoff. If he pars 17, he can still get into the playoff for this championship with a birdie on 18, which is much easier in comparison to the birdie on 17.
And right side for Nate. That one flops in for him. I can't imagine Simon Lizotte's heart rate right now because mine is just pounding as Kevin holds his breath and that just barely dumps back into the basket. The drama continues. Let's move over to hole 17.
And here it is. This is that fateful hole. And look at the tee shot. That big tree on the right there is the one that our players want to go to the left of and land somewhere in this grassy area right here. From this point forward, it all becomes about where you land, the kicks you get. It's very, very wooded coming through here. A lot of really strange angles. As soon as you get to about this point on the fairway, you actually end up having a little bit of an more open look into this green. And as we saw with our chase card, there's that slopey green there. We saw Drew Gibson birdie this hole, so we know it's birdieable. There's no real eagle opportunities here. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen this hole threed over all the years. I don't know if Macbeth.
Oh, there was in fact a famous one.
It was Macbeth. Right?
Yeah, that world champion feller, Paul Macbeth, did take the eagle on it a few years back in 2014, thanks to the coverage we see, I believe, from Central Coast. But yeah, that is certainly a rarity. I know no one is going to be counting on one of those today, but wow, this is so far from over. Kevin Jones, probably just a little beside himself, just wondering, what do I have to do to get those to stay in? Is a little bit frustrated, possibly. But as we know, Kevin Jones probably has one of the greatest demeanors that we'll find from any of our up-and-coming young players. He usually has a smile on his face, regardless of what the outcome is of any given tournament. He's a warrior, but also just a world-class athlete and sportsman.
I'll tell you what Simon Lizotte would not pay for a shot in the short grass right now. It's not horrible. He's hit the big tree on the left side of the fairway. It's not absolutely horrible. From there, he's going to have to just chip into potentially a safe area to continue up this fairway. This is such a pitfall hole. You can find yourself in so many tough positions. In fact, we used Simon yesterday as a test case. He ended up throwing a backhand cut roller and a sidearm roller. Oh, and James in the left-hand high grass.
So right now, James Conrad, as we're seeing here, sits at that 24 under par. He's not going to be able to make a run ultimately at this unless he somehow miraculously eagles one or both of the holes. And that's a low release there by Kevin Jones.
And just a moment ago, T, you said, what does it take for Kevin Jones to get these discs to stay in the basket? Well, what does it take to win this tournament? That's the big question right now. By Simon Lizotte, what's it going to take?
Well, we know he needs at least one birdie in the last two holes, and more would be better for him. Let's move on.
And Terry, I was just thinking about Simon hitting that big tree and how many times we hit trees and playing disc golf and it kicks one way or the other. Simon's literally just kicked straight down. So unfortunate.
Yeah.
He could have taken a little baby kick to the right and he'd be in the perfect spot, but we'll see what Simon's able to do from this point forward.
Well, we've seen in the first round there were 15 birdies. The second round, I believe we had 18 birdies. And the third round thus far, we've seen 22 birdies. So players are clearly getting down there. They're getting this hole figured out. It's still coming in as one of the more difficult holes overall, but the birdies are there to be had. And Nate Sexton going up and over.
And all that is, I remember seeing that at Worlds a few years ago, and all that is trying to progress as far down the fairway as possible. Give yourself somewhere in that 100, 110-foot range into the green. And here we see Simon. Ooh.
He is somewhat pinched up against that tree. It shouldn't come into play for his actual throw, but you know he's thinking about it.
Well, him even acting out that sidearm shows that it's going to be a factor.
Oh, and Simon with aggression throwing his bag down. Okay, I made that one up. Let's see what he can do. He's lining up this low shot. Let's just hope that he gives it enough air. Far too often I've seen Simon go with a very low laser shot and throw it into the ground. He slips.
Oh, and look, yeah, man. The shoulder slump from Simon, had he just gotten past that pine branch, he would have at least progressed another 50, 80 feet. But unfortunately, he hit that branch, and he's going to have now a tricky third. But again, folks, everybody at home, a par on this hole still gives Simon the opportunity to birdie the 18th and make it into a playoff for this championship at 27 under par. But you have to remember, Simon did bogey the 18th yesterday with a very poor drive. So how much does that creep into his mind? There's a lot of factors at this point.
And the longer this takes, the longer both Eagle McMahon and Drew Gibson are waiting around to find out their fate. They may be going out for a playoff. They may have it as a playoff head-to-head, or they may wait for Simon to come in, and Simon's going to come in completely warmed up, in rhythm, ready to go, whereas both Drew, along with Eagle, will have been resting and possibly either mentally or physically trying to relax for this last 15 or 20 minutes.
God, I've been in this position many, many times where I've either come in early and had to wait for a playoff or maybe made a mistake towards the end of the round and fell back into a playoff, or maybe played in that last group and made something happen on the last couple of holes to get into a playoff. But what I'm trying to explain is all of the different types of ways you can get into a playoff. Let's just look at this. Drew Gibson, yeah, he misses the putt on 16, but goes birdie, 17, 18. Great momentum. Eagle has a fantastic round, but misses the short putt on 18. So a little less momentum, a little bit more thinking going on. Let's see what type of momentum, if Simon is able to get into, let's just see how he finishes up this round. But, right now, the only thing you'd think those two guys need to do is practice 5-foot putts.
Wow.
And, all jokes aside, I would sit around.
All 5-footers matter.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be around the putting green right now is exactly what I would be doing. Getting a few putts in, staying loose.
Well, I also want to give a quick update. I know some of our avid chat board viewers are asking. Yuli, it looks like he may have torn his meniscus, is what someone was saying. Actually, his mother had reported to me. That is not official. However, that's what was potentially reported back to her. So we're just passing it along, and we hope the best for Yuli and all of any health conditions that he's got going on here today. After watching James Conrad throw his approach shot.
Oh, and look at the kick Lizotte has taken. We're now seeing his disc. Simon has to figure out a way to get from this position into that basket in 3 shots.
He's got a forehand roller lined up. Let's see how much distance he can cover. Not too bad.
Yeah, not a ton of distance, but he's in that range where I was saying in the whole preview, where it starts to open up, where they can start to access the green. Dare I say it again, the next shot by Simon Lizotte is going to be the shot of the tournament.
Until he gets to 18.
Exactly.
Here's Kevin Jones. Kevin puring the gap.
Look at Jonesy. What a beautiful shot by him. I like Jonesy.
Nate, we're in the booth, so you can provide
call whatever I want, I
any
guess.
nickname you wish. And the gallery, you can see off on the left side of your screen. They're just filtering through. Yeah, just in for a show today. And I'm sure many of them are following along with you, Disc. I'm sure plenty of them know Drew Gibson, Eagle McMahon in the clubhouse already as they're sitting at that 27 under par. And Simon Lizotte trying to get at least into the tie with them. And right now, that's the best that he can do, barring some crazy throw-in for an eagle, which I wouldn't anticipate he'd be going for on the 18th. But Simon first has to get up and down, walk away from here with the par, and then get the birdie on 18. Otherwise, it'll be a two-person playoff between Drew and Eagle.
Yeah, boy, the ticket well worth the price of admission, huh? I know it is for me. There's no doubt about it. Sort of getting a little bit ahead of myself here, possibly, but just sort of thinking about what this could potentially mean for a player like Drew Gibson. Now, I've known Drew since he was a young man, and I have not, we at the in the disc golf world have not seen Drew take down a big major title. And this is not a major per se, whether it's not a European Open, a Worlds, or a USDGC. But this is a high-level event on a very, very difficult course with all of the best players in the world. So this means a lot for a guy like Drew Gibson. A big, boost of confidence. Not that Drew needs much. He's a very confident young man, of course. But, I'm just saying, the story, we have to start to build the story here. And this is the shot for Simon.
Plays to the hillside and just getting past, I believe that's Michael on the catch cam.
But Simon putting it in nice and close, and that's one thing that I here in the booth want to see from Simon, short putts. He's been very, very confident with his putting, but when he puts pressure on it, it can just leave him a little bit. Of course, just on the last hole, able to sneak one in over that rim, get the birdie opportunity.
And this is James Conrad putting for his birdie here on hole 17. Conrad sits at 24 under par. He would love to sneak up another position or two if he has a solid finish. Wysocki sits one position in front of him at 25 under par. So he could tie Wysocki for fifth if he were to make this. Just off the top. A solid run. So everything I just said will remain the same as he moves into 18. James Conrad, again, he's sitting at that 24 under with a birdie. He could move into a tie for fifth with Ricky Wysocki, who, of course, shot the 14 under and has been in the clubhouse for at least 4, maybe even 6 hours now. Ricky's eaten 3 sandwiches by now.
6 hours? He played a different course or something?
All right, maybe not. Here's Nate Sexton.
It has been at least an hour since Ricky has been in the clubhouse. And I would say at this point, it's been at least 20, 25 minutes since we saw Eagle McMahon tap in. Maybe not that long. Let's call it 15 at this point. But by the time these guys are done, a beautiful putt there by Nate. And as I said, the crowd favorite, Nate is an Oregonian. No matter where he lives, he'll always be an Oregonian.
And with that birdie by Sexton a moment ago, that is putting him in a tie for 6th. And then Kevin Jones with his birdie, that puts him a tie for 8th. And Simon Lizotte needs the birdie to force a 3-way playoff. Are you not entertained?
Seriously, I'm loving this right now.
Hey, careful, McDonald's will come after us for that one. All right. quick walk over to the tee of 18. Nate, set it up as if we need an introduction here for this 18th.
Yeah, par 4, 600 feet. Right to the left there is where Simon Lizotte threw his drive in yesterday's round. Huge mistake by him, as that's all OB in those woods. The players want to get out and around these two small pine trees here, giving themselves a look into the screen. Both Drew and Eagle were put themselves in a beautiful position on the right. As you come into the screen, it's completely surrounded by an OB wall, our keen OB wall, and an elevated basket. Really a very, very, very birdie. Yourself in a good position off of the tee, but I'm having good memory of this.
All right, well, here we are. We're on hole 18. Once they finish all of the statistics for hole 17, our hole information will move over. Nate, you were just saying this actually comes in as the 5th easiest hole on the course. Simon Lizotte needs the birdie.
Yeah, and Kate Jones going big and high, getting caught up. Man, it's surprising to me. I mean, of course, I did not prepare for this event, and I did not play in this tournament. But Simon told me yesterday after the round, yeah, I just wanted to leave it right and put it out there. And, you know, and he didn't. And Kay Jones leaving it inside right here on this hole. So, you know, let's see what Simon's able to do here. But the 5th easiest hole really says it all. I mean, the statistics don't lie. You know, minus a few of those really easy par 3s and hole 9, the players have played this hole extremely far under par. 60% of this tournament has birdied this hole. And so the best players in the world need to birdie it as well. Simon is one of those, of course. Oh, this is a much better line.
It's definitely going to be
needs to
in bounds. And that is just fine for Simon Lizotte.
Way right. So if he's right of our cameraman at this point, he's going to have a fairly tricky upshot because he doesn't have that pure straight look at the green from this point. And here's James dipping his head down low and playing the big hyzer. Absolutely perfect.
A little extra mustard on that one for Conrad. We'll be back in a moment.
You think it's 200 from that steak? Yeah. Yeah. That's super.
This is Kevin Jones with his 2nd shot. Kevin trying to push it up. And he's right around circle 1's edge.
And to my knowledge of this disc golf course, T, I believe Simon Lizotte's going to have a tricky shot here. While he made the adjustment from yesterday, look at how far back he is. Does he go with the big hyzer? That's the question.
That is what he appears to be lining up, or at least he's looking at right now.
Touchy shot here. Very, very touchy shot.
He goes with the hyzer. That looks to be left.
Get
that needs to
down.
sit down. And
oh, it hits the wall. Hits the wall, but it really very, very short.
Yeah, that is going to be plenty of work, little meat left on the bone for Simon Lizotte. Not the putt that you want to have to force a three-way playoff. Drew Gibson, along with Eagle McMahon right now, watching and anticipating there's going to be a playoff. The question is, will Simon Lizotte join them?
And so the big thing that I want everybody at home to recognize is the fact that Simon, I can almost guarantee you, had never, ever thrown that shot. He had never been in that position in any of his practice rounds. And what a finish for Nate Sexton. Got to give him a big hand, a big, huge round of applause. He's going to park this 18th hole, birdie 17 and 18. And oh, what could have been for Nate. I think he had his opportunities in this one, T. But unfortunately, good finish for him. Finish.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to 1 under par and in a tie for 5th with Ricky.
Boy, and what Simon Lizotte wouldn't have done to just trade drives with James Conrad. He just has like a pitch, a little Annie pitch to this green. Interesting to see the run up.
Well, and if he can get up and down. Oh, what a run by James Conrad. I was just about to say, if he can get up and down for the birdie, he will then tie Nate Sexton along with Ricky Wysocki, and it would be a three-way tie for 5th place.
Really big hand to this entire group. Kay Jones having a really tough day, but overall, really, really nice play. And here you go, Simon Lizotte. This is to make the playoff.
Oh, he needs this from about 50 feet to force the playoff. And Lizotte does not convert.
Yeah, our jaws dropped here in the studio, Terry. We feel so bad for Simon. He had so many opportunities, but to leave yourself a 45, 50-foot putt at that point is just so tough. It's one of those ones that, is not even a 50-50 putt. It's probably a 40-30. Or
40. I like your new math, Nate. Wow.
I'm just well. Let's go ahead and move on.
Let's switch gears. Simon, I love you, buddy, but you don't matter anymore. Right now, this is the Eagle McMahon Drew Gibson show, and they have absolutely earned their right. They were not featured here on our card today, and they said, you know what, we're here to play, and right now there is a playoff. I think we have Jeff Spring actually explaining it.
Gibson, and we'll start in 5 minutes at hole 1. Please make your way over to hole 1's tee.
All right, so real quick introduction there by Jeff Spring. So, Nate, we're going to quickly run down a few different things here and kind of wrap things up. Then we're going to stand down for a few minutes ourselves, and then we'll come back, of course, with the start of the playoff. But first and foremost, congratulations is in order. Eagle McMahon, Drew Gibson earning this position. They are in a tie for first. Both had very solid play today, of course, to come up and capture that piece of first place from that second card. They sit at the 27 under par. Seppo finishes at 26, as does Simon Lizotte. So they're going to finish in a tie for third. Ricky Wysocki, Nate Sexton, James Conrad finish in a tie for fifth. And I know it was stated a little bit earlier on our board. I'd like to read it to you guys, what I just saw. The playoff holes, this will be sudden death. And they'll start on hole 1. They'll play 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Again, it's sudden death. So as soon as one score does not match the other, it will be over. But that is the holes that they would play. Essentially, it looks like skipping 4 and 5, and then 8 through 12 are the holes that they would be skipping if it were to go that far. But it will move over to hole 1, and we will see sudden death. And you mentioned before, this would be Drew Gibson's largest and biggest, not only paycheck, but his biggest title to date, if he can take this down.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. First of all, congratulations, obviously, to both of these guys. But really, what I was talking about the whole time was Eagle McMahon. I mentioned it yesterday in our preparation for today that Eagle was going to be the one we were going to keep an eye on. Of course, I had Simon picked, and he wasn't able to pull it out. But one guy we didn't talk much about was Drew Gibson. And when I did start to finally mention his name, we saw him miss that putt on 16, but to birdie 17 and 18 to get into this playoff. Wow, incredible. The pressure is going to be ratcheted up right now, and Eagle has the experience with this type of pressure. Drew does not. So we will see. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and I know all of the fans and spectators are out there as well.
Well, we're excited to bring you the action here on Smashbox TV with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We, of course, have to thank all of our sponsors here of the event and of our coverage. Helping provide that is Dynamic Disc, but also our presenting sponsors of the event, Bevel, yourself, Nate, along with Discraft. We could not make this event possible without all of those great partners and supporters, along with the rest of the supporters from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We are getting a few words in our ears as to the cameramen getting in place, along with the spectators. Everybody now has to reposition, collect their thoughts. We know even someone like Simon Lizotte, who was so
to do it, all right?
Discraft, but here's Steve Dodge, the official hype man of the Portland Open this weekend, it sounds like. And I believe we're going to be ready to go here very soon. And great to see, there's Ian Anderson of Central Coast, as he filmed to throw it out there just for the excitement for you guys, for our post-production crews. He was out there filming the chase card today. And like we said earlier, only twice before have we ever seen our winner come off the chase card. Once was Paul McBeth, once was Paige Pierce, and today Ian Anderson. There's maybe no one more giddy than him, knowing the champion from this event is going to come off of the card that he filmed today on that second card. So rare.
Well, it is rare. And here's one thing that I can almost tell you I have never seen. I have never seen a playoff or a title come from two players that were not on the lead card. So not only is this going to be a champion from the second card, it's a playoff from two guys that were on the second card.
Yes.
And by the way, finished 20 minutes ago at the very minimum.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us at the 2019 Portland Open. Normally we'd be going over for awards to crown a champion, but we have an MPO playoff. Please give it up for our two competitors, Drew Gibson and Eagle McMahon. Yeah! If you are not playing the straight 18 holes, this is sudden death though. The players will play 1, 2, 3, and then go to hole 6, 7, and 8. After 8, they'll skip to 13, play to 18, and then again on that route if they are still tied, and you guys are still here. But again, it is sudden death. Just to review, thank you guys for coming and being enthusiastic, but we are going to focus on etiquette here and make sure the players have a good experience. So please, when the players are throwing, be still. Be quiet and be respectful. We have this spectator line. Big shout out to our volunteers who've been doing this all day. Please be aware as we go ahead and play, and be still when the players are throwing. With that said, first on the tee in the Portland Open playoff, give it up for Eagle McMahon.
What a moment here, Nate. Eagle McMahon getting ready to go. Jeff Spring calling the shot. This is sudden death, low score wins.
And Eagle has fortunately cut through that, but he's gone towards the OB line. We have not gotten a look from our spotter. I believe it stopped short of that. And one mention I want to make, Terry, is that I saw Josh Anthon back there. Josh has known Drew since he was a very, very young man, or a child at that point, playing out in Orangevale, Shady Oaks. Drew deciding to go with the safer play, which might tell us everything we need to know about where Eagle went. So this thing could possibly be over before it even begins. It's so tough because we just don't know where Eagle's disc is.
Well, here's what I can tell you. We're going to look back at what happened during this last round with these two competitors. We're going to look at hole number 1. Eagle McMahon and Drew Gibson birdied this hole earlier today to start this round. Now, that was approximately 3.5 hours ago that they were here, but they both birdied hole number 1. Eagle took a birdie on 2 where Drew didn't, but then Drew got a birdie back on 3. So in the first 3 holes, both of these competitors went 2 under. So whether they need to think back to what they did or make an adjustment from what they did earlier today, we're going to have to see how this is going to play out. But we're trying to get confirmation as if Eagle McMahon's drive did go out of bounds or not. And hopefully our cameras can give us some clarity, and it did.
Eagle stepping in very quickly, making his mark. And I could have almost guessed this just based on the shot Drew threw. He changed up to immediately throwing the backhand instead of the roller, or the air shot instead of the roller. And that tells us everything we need to know. He believes that par will win this hole. And at this point, Eagle, in my mind,
has to be running this.
Yeah.
And he clearly was. Eagle McMahon was trying to put that in. As you saw, he went at least 50 feet past the basket. Now Drew has absolutely zero pressure.
Well, I would have laid that up underneath the basket.
As would I.
And forced Drew to get up and down.
I'm really surprised to see that by Eagle. I know he feels like Drew's for sure going to get up and down, but I still feel like Eagle did not need to run at that. However,
we saw a 10-foot putt missed by Eagle on the last hole, a 12-foot putt missed by Drew. Look, I understand throwing it in there would have been absolutely incredible, but now all of the pressure is off because Eagle still has right there 38 feet to get it into the basket for his bogey.
Yeah, if not even more. So, well, the gallery is joining us. I think they may have a very short walk.
Can we say the last time an event was played of this caliber on this course, we saw a playoff, and we've seen now another playoff? We hadn't mentioned that before. This course is a stadium course. It creates drama. Oh, but all the drama's been sucked out of this round already.
Oh, Eagle needs this. And he does. Can it? Okay.
Beautiful
So he still does put the pressure on.
Look at this.
Oh, my. Drew Gibson for the most important putt of his life in disc golf at this point.
Absolutely.
This is Drew Gibson for the win. Oh, and Drew sticks it. And congratulations, Drew Gibson is your 2019 Portland Open champion in playoff format against Eagle McMahon. There's his best friend, Josh Anthon.
Portland Portland Open
Just
champion, Drew
incredible.
Gibson.
Scorecards do not need to be tabulated at this point. We'll see if we can get a interview very quickly. Hopefully, we'll have Seth or some other tournament staff step in. Maybe Josh could give the interview. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, dog. Good stuff, dog.
Yeah, dog. There his.
Proud of you.
At the pavilion.
And Steve Dodge is. We see Steve Dodge, and along with Jeff Spring and Todd Dodge, the entire crew. And just like that, I think we're ready. Let's hear from the champion.
We live? All right, so thank you for tuning in to the 2019 Portland Open presented by Bevel Craft Brewing. I'm your TD, Jeff Spring. Thanks for watching that action-packed day of just spectacular disc golf. I'm here with our 2019 playoff winner and champion, Drew Gibson. Drew, great round there. Hey, give us a little insight into what was going on out there. Coming down the stretch, you were on chase card and you came back to tie for a playoff with another chase card member. What was going through your head? How was that unfolding?
I just knew Eagle and I were close. Like, I didn't really know where anyone else was. Like, and I just kept playing and kept playing and kept playing and just try to play my game plan and just throw it down the middle and try to get my shots close. And on 16, I didn't a footer, and I didn't. It wasn't like, oh, this is for this. Like, I just missed the putt, and then it happened on 18. You got a little unlucky, left side fall out, but I wasn't really thinking much down the stretch besides for just keep playing my own game. I didn't know the scores or anything.
Now, this is one of the first big wins in a while for you. How does it feel to break through on this stage, on this level here in Portland?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I've been playing, I think I've only missed a couple of pro tours because of my leg. Other than that, I would have played every single one of them. So to finally come out here after being at every single one and finally do it it's what we've been playing for. So it's awesome. I'm so happy right now.
Absolutely. And in the context of the season, what does this mean? Does this kickstart your season? What are you looking forward to the most going down the stretch? We got a lot of NTs. We got some majors coming on. This is a big flagpole for you, putting your name in the big spotlight going into the rest of the season. How are you feeling going into the second half?
Oh, this is awesome. I mean, I missed the 8 weeks there because of my leg. So just being able to come out here and come back and play strong really means a lot to me. Like, it makes me very happy that I was able to sit out for all that time and be able to come back and compete.
Yeah.
So going on, like Beaver State Fling, I played well for years prior, so I'm excited, looking forward to that. And all these tournaments coming up are like the big ones of the year. And this is where the year really starts progressing. So it's awesome to be feeling pretty confident, going into that stretch of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. How about your support team? We saw Josh Anton out there giving you some tips. What really helped pull you through on this playoff and even coming down the stretch?
I mean, I just try to stay in my own head. I mean, it was a little devastating missing the putt, but I just kept, I made a really clutch putt on 17, like circle's edge, like just right in the heart. That felt good, and then threw it up short 18, and then Josh was like, just lay it up. So lay up, and then made a decent little putt again. So, I mean, it's awesome to have someone like Josh behind me. We've been buddies forever, helping me out, telling me what to do, So who knows, if I was on my own, I might have thrown the roller over there. Who knows, so it's awesome to like finally do it and then have someone like Josh behind me.
Absolutely. And last question, the crowd here was great. They were pulling for you. They're really supportive there at the end. What can you say about Portland and Portland disc golf?
Oh, it's great. Every time I've ever played here, I think anytime any of us have ever played here, we all get supported and loved on and yelled at and everything. So it's pretty awesome that you guys are all here, so it feels good to play well, then play well in front of this crowd. So
great.
Thank you guys for all you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm here with Drew Gibson. We're going to wrap it up and go over to the awards, but thanks to all the fans at home for watching. I'm Jeff Spring, the TD of the 2019 Portland Open. We're going to sign off and throw it back to the booth with Nate and Terry. One more round of applause, guys. Give it up for Drew Gibson breaking through today.
It's awesome to see Simon Lizotte, one of the first guys to go over and congratulate him there after the interview. Congratulations is what we can say to Drew Gibson. Just a hard-fought battle, not a name that we talked about too much today. And maybe that was on our own accord, thinking we haven't seen Drew really break out and pull away from a crowd of this caliber in the past. But today he stepped up and he did exactly that. He forced that playoff with Eagle McMahon. And then you were saying he took the veteran and he went out there and he got it done under a pressure situation, having to make even that, 15 or 18 footer that probably felt about 40 feet at the time for him. So very impressive performance. Nate, we're going to start to close it out here. Any final thoughts that you have as a presenting sponsor, as Bevel, and as a commentator?
Honestly, for me, right now I'm in this seat right now, and what we just saw was an incredible day of disc golf. And to be honest with you, it goes to show you really what it takes to win a tournament on the tour. It is absolutely incredible what it takes. We typically see a lot of the same names winning these tournaments: McBeth, Wysocki, McMahon now, Lizotte having a bunch of chances. But Drew Gibson is a name that we all know. He's not a household name in the sense that he's won a lot of tournaments. But Drew is one of those guys that's very aware of the history of the game and understanding where this position is. You heard him talking about an injury that he had and some work that he was doing back home to get back into position to play. And then he comes through with a win. How incredible is that? I mean, a day where we see Paige Pierce get in the winner's circle again, and then we see Drew Gibson from the second card in a playoff. And, what can you say? I'm really looking forward to now the second half of this season. And Drew said it well. The big tournaments are coming up now. Not that any of the ones we've played already aren't big, but the big ones are coming up. The Beaver State, the Ledgestone, the World Championships, the Great Lakes Open, and then finishing out on the East Coast in the fall. And I can't tell you how excited I am right now. Of course, I'm excited to be a presenting sponsor, and thank you to Discraft for their support of my business as well as Valerie's. But ultimately, I love seeing this action. I love being in the booth right here with you, T-Dog.
Well, you and Valerie, I'm going to send a shout out and thank you guys so sincerely. You guys have been in the booth along with Jeff for one of the events, working all of these Disc Golf Pro Tour events. So I'm glad to be back and to join you guys for this weekend. We had a great time here in Portland. I'll echo what you're saying about our presenting sponsors, both Discraft along with Bevel. And the crew and the staff and everyone that were all hands on deck here. Jeff Spring really putting together this tremendous event as a first-time event, and having Zoe Andike, having Dustin Keegan, and everyone else involved, including Stumptown Disc Golf. We just couldn't do it without all of you guys. For Seth, along with the Disc Golf Pro Tour director, Steve Dodge, all of our camera crew who are working, just hustling around this weekend, giving us all of that action. We can't say enough about all of your hard work and dedication. Thank you so much to all of you guys as well. I want to thank Val for joining me each of the mornings as we called the FPO action, and your champion on the FPO side again in Paige Pierce. She too with that hard-fought battle. So we're going to call it here in Portland. I may go find myself a Bevel beer of my own if I can while we check out the awards ceremony. We're so glad you guys could tune in for the Portland Open. For Nate Doss and Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, thanks again for tuning in and watching, and we'll see you next time when you step inside the Smash Box.
Double blow it up.
Or something.